computer. Good morning, MEL Libre. There he is. Good morning, sir. Oh, di man madunggan si MEL Libre noon sa mani. Di lagi ko kadungog ni mo, Mel. I can't hear your voice. I can't hear you. Saka ni si Mel. Hindi siya. Hindi ni madunggan. Ron, I can't hear MEL Libre's voice. Anyway, atong hisgutan ka ng buntaga. If you want to join us while we're still fixing our audio, is unsa man ang history sa recording studio sa Cebu. Asa man ang unang recording studio sa Cebu. And number 2, kaning kinsa ni sila. Maybe we can go into the details, but let's try to look back at the history of recording studios in Cebu. Kaning Raul, palihog ligog ko ni Ron nga ing na siya wala pa audio diri basig na ako'y napindutan diri. 0999-887-6070. Are you there, Mel? Di gid madunggan oh. I still can't hear you. Ano ka ni siya? Basig namin napindutan di lagi madunggan akong kauban, akong partner sa ato ang show nga Orig Global with MEL Libre. Ano ka ni siya? Hindi mo ni badunggan. Tanaw ni mo. Ha? Anyway, naapod tayo special guest karong buntaga. Si one of the first digital technology recording studios. Gitawag nila og backyard studios. Mukha ni siya owner sa first digital recording studio of Cebu, si Cara Muanya Rosende. So the daughter of the founder, si Efren Junix Muanya, sa atong first kuno digital recording studio sa Cebu. So let's find out about that. Ang tong topic karon of course is to talk about the recording studios. Like I said, ang akong namatan nga mga recording studios katong kang June last, nakinumdum ko naghimo ko og pipila ka mga commercials dito sa iyang studio. Unya murag of course it's a huge space. Mas dako pa to sa ako ang radio station nga gitrabahoan atong una. Unya kaning mura og dako kayo ang mixer and so on and so forth. So that was where the bands, in fact, that song that you heard earlier from Raw Belief, I think recorded those songs. Not necessarily kang Junlas nga recording studio, but I can imagine a recording studio similar to that. And like I said, we will have our Orig Global Conversations with MEL Libre, and also we have a special guest. I don't know if she can hear us. Kani si Cara Muanya Rosende. Is that you, Cara? O dili pa ni? Di man siya madunggan.
Can you hear me?
I can hear. Makadungog ko ni mo kaning Mel. Si Debbie man imong pangalan ko sa imong screen god.
Computer sa kong misis. Ang pikas na computer.
Gikuyawan ako da. Gikuyawan ako ganong naay katris at tubangan ako ba?
Sorry.
Okay ra. Hibong na ko ba? Basig naay naka-infiltrate sa ato ang conversation ba niya? Iya, unsa ka ning anong man ka ning katri man ni.
Okay, I'm ready.
I was just playing a song earlier. I don't know if you heard it. A sample song of a recording from the analog era. Katong kanta nila ni Bidik Klimako og sa Raw Belief, gitawag na to og basok. Klaro jud kaayo nga ang atong termino ni ana kay murag lata kay sana ni ba. Of course, we are all victims of the technology of our times, diba? So that was the best that our technology could do at that time. So it was already good at that time. But of course, if you compare it to music now, ako man tong gitapan sa usa ka kanta nga gi-record gyud og tinud-anay nga recording studio kani si Julian Salvado. If I'm not mistaken, she is a recording artist and she belongs to one of those recording studios ng international. I think Sony is a recording studio. So makaingon jud ta nga I can imagine, although I don't really know, but I can imagine nga digital gito yung recording, high tech gito. So layo jud kayo ang disparity in the katong nakadungog katong katamel.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
oh.
Both kan Julian og sa Robelief.
Okay. So
Nakadungog ko.
unsa man imuhang naabtan Mel? I was just telling everybody, ako naabtan nga recording studio was katong kang Junlas. I remember having a conversation with Junlas Piñas in his recording studio somewhere in Mabolo. Mo na mahinumduman gyud ako nga first nako nga niadto kog studio outside of my radio station back then. Was that the first Mel, or would you be able to go back even a little bit further than Mutya?
I can go back a little bit farther, but I'd like to say good morning sa atong mga
Good morning, Dia Mel.
listeners.
Unsang oras sa dia sa imuhang
Now
kalasangan,
it's,
Mel?
past 2 o'clock, 2:09
Sa hapon?
PM. Yes.
Okay.
So anyway, I can recall because I used to be connected with DYLA sa una, AM pa to, no?
Okay.
O doon na sila FM, and then they had a kanang arrangement with a German foundation,
Okay.
and they were provided with a sort of modern at that time
Okay.
studio, and then a guy by the name of Faschner, no, Faschner, German,
Okay.
became their consultant. Unya
Nice.
kato si Faschner, probably he must have been a recording studio technician because he recorded an album in ang ngan sa banda nga iyang gi-record was kanang Harmony and Rhythm Band, no?
Local band ni siya.
Which is Harmony and Rhythm Band nga mga Nadella sisters, no?
Okay.
So kini mga Nadella nga mga musikero nga ni sa Sugbo, they were related to the Nadella sisters. And it was in vinyl, no? Ang gi-produce nila nga record
okay.
at the time. But it was really, really kanang something amazing at that time, no? Mga 1980s ni siya. And but the sad thing about it is number one, it was just cover songs.
Okay.
You know? They recorded an album of cover songs,
Okay.
of the popular songs at that time, and it was really kanang murag kuan gyud kanang di gyud kaayo maayo ang recording, and I don't think that was ever played in radio except probably sa DYLA.
Okay.
But I never have heard of that album or nor played any of the songs of that album.
Okay.
So I think that was the very first, no, nga recording studio in a radio station.
Oh,
No?
okay.
And
So,
now,
go ahead.
yeah. And then
Continue.
after that, nakabisita ko sa Kangoli Base. I don't know if you've heard of the name
Nakadungog
Goli
ko na. Familiar ka na siya nga name, Mel. Pero ako na, I don't recall ever, I cannot put the name, I cannot put the face behind the name. Wagid ko kabaw kinsa na siya.
Si Goli is a very humble person.
So, humble.
He used to be a member of a band, mga combo ba sa una, mga 1960s.
Okay.
Unya, he's an engineer but he put up a studio na sa Natalio Bacalso Avenue, and I think it's still there.
Okay.
So si Goli, mostly ang katong mga, this was the time when Cebu Pop Music Festival started. No?
Oh, okay.
That was mga 1981. So ang most of the artists would go to Golbas to record their original song nga ilang isubmit ngadto sa Cebu Pop Music Festival.
Okay.
So basically analog yung kaistanan nga recording. I was able to record a song there, an entry way back. Unya ang nag-arrange ato was si MEL Villarreal, one of the foremost kanang arrangers and composers in Cebu. Akong original composition, and kung maminaw kog balik atong kantaha mo rin ingong luoy gyud kay paminawon, no? Because of the ang iyang quality unya kanang pila ra to ka tracks. I think there were 4 tracks only,
Okay.
no? So
When you say Louie Paminaon, Mel, do you mean Louie Paminaon atong una, or
yeah.
in comparison to recordings now, Louie na siya Paminaon?
In comparison to now,
Okay.
no? But at that time it sounded good, no?
Okay.
Kay wa matay kanang laing mabuhat, no? But at the time, so Gulbas was the I think was one of the very first kanang commercial, no,
Asa man
commercial
po ni iyang kuan Mel,
recording
iyang
studio.
recording studio located?
Naa sa Natalio Bacalso Avenue,
Okay.
no? Nga na sa Doors Terminal, unahan lang adto.
Oh, okay.
Naa ang and I think it's still there.
Okay.
It might just still be there. I know that Goli Base must be an elderly person now because at the time nga nag-record ko, bata pa man ko. Unya edad-edaran naman siya. So, but I've seen some Facebook kuan niya, updates nga his studio is still there and I think he has modernized his studio but
Mm.
probably kanang mga batan-on karon wa kayo kabantay no sa
Mm.
kang Goli Base nga
Okay.
recording studio.
Interesting. So I wonder kung I'm sure gi-update na ni iyahang studio, di ba?
Yes, I think there was a concert sa Spirit of the Morning Sun. I think I've talked to you about
Correct,
Spirit
yeah.
of the Morning
Yeah.
Sun before, and I think they might have kanang rehearsed no
Mhm.
their songs sa ilang mga numbers or ilang mga gipangkanta atong ilang reunion concert.
Mhm.
If I'm not wrong, it's possible nga ngadto sila sa Kangoli mag practice because of
Mm.
the fact that Goli belonged to that age and time, no? Mga combo in the 60s
Mm.
and this early 70s.
Mm. So
And you talk,
go ahead.
sige, padayon.
Padayon. Ano hisgot mo
Well,
kagod og kating wa ka nakadungog sa katong output katong imuhang German nga
si
uh,
kang Fashner.
kang Fashner. I'm curious ba like unsa man di ay purpose anang nganong mag-recording man ka og usa ka kanta? Isn't it automatically ang akong assumption is para na ipatukar sa uh, kahanginan sa radyo, ipatukar sa media o maybe himuon nila og kaning usa ka plaka or usa ka tape para ipanghatag or para ibaligya. Mo man ay purpose. Correct me if I'm wrong, man. Mo man ay purpose gyud sa
Yes.
pag-recording sa usa ka kanta, di ba? Dili man ay recording for recording's sake. Although there are probably instances when ang recording nimo is for kaning filing purposes, right?
Mhm.
Sakto ba ko?
So primarily, ang purpose sa recording is first is you have an original song
Okay.
and it is arranged,
Mhm.
and then at least makadungog kang it satisfies you as an artist
Okay.
that there's something that you created nga na record good because probably in the future you can refer to it. But
Mm.
other than that, you want it to be heard on radio
Okay.
naturally or in some other form nga madunggan na sa ubang mga tao.
Mm.
Kung dili man masud sa radyo during that early 70s, no?
Mhm.
No, recordings were so basic and raw that local radio stations here in Cebu did not play it, would
Mm.
not play it.
Mm.
It would not be included in the playlist. Kay most of the songs then, no, way back in the late 70s and early 80s
Okay.
were American Top 40
Mm.
ang ilang format.
Mm.
Therefore, local recordings were a no-no,
Mm.
no? I know that because doon naman sa ko yung mga recordings sa unang mga panahon,
Okay.
mga 80s and 90s, and even how much I tried to have this aired in radio stations, di ginamutukar
Mm.
because of the fact that it's not in the playlist, it's not in the format, and probably they have a low regard for original compositions written by local or homegrown artists
Na
at
ako'y
that time.
na ako'y follow-up question na ba? Unsa man di ay kaning kinsa man di ay arbiter na kinsa man di ay curator sa quality sa audio sa usa ka recording nganong naamay murag mahog na to og standards unsa man na siya where do these standards come from?
Adto gina sa program director sa radio station, no? The
Okay.
one who programs the play, who makes the playlist, or the station manager.
Okay.
They listen to it, and then if it's not at par with, then you have to compare it with American recordings then,
Okay.
because that was the 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 standard at the time.
Okay.
So igtupad nimo luoy kay paminahon ang local recording like
Okay.
you listen to Raw Belief, no?
Mm.
It takes a bold effort on part of a program director or a station manager to say, ato ani itukar kay local good ni.
Okay.
Uh, and that only occurred at the time when I have to mention this. Johnny Kawa was bold enough
Okay.
to accept songs which were written and recorded by local artists in Cebu.
Okay.
And an example of that is actually Baso of Raw Belief.
Mm. So bold in the sense nga masig bati kayo ang recording mura og lihas kayo layo kayong diferensya sa international recorded songs, right? Gipatukar gyapon niya.
Yes, he
Mm.
did that. No?
Mm.
It was a risk
Mm.
for Johnny Kawa at
Okay.
that time.
Okay.
But I think because that was only the available ang studios at that time, mostly ang mga ang gipangtukar ni Johnny Kawa at that time
Okay.
were recorded in Mutia. So
Mm, kang
that's
kang
where
Junlas.
that's yes.
Mm.
Ngadto sa
So katong
kadaghanan
Mango Jam ka, tanaw nimo mostly recorded
yes.
in Mutya?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
That was a recording in Mutia with June Las
Okay.
Piñas.
Okay.
Yeah,
Ngano
so
ngano
yes,
ngano man ka tanaw nimo Mel nga wala magyud ta at least in Cebu City ba wala magyud ta naka catch up wa ta naka close sa mga recording studios sa international kaning recorded songs ngano man na is this
kana
a kaning financial issue nga mahal ra kayo dili ka afford ang atong mga recording studios diri sa siyudad sa Sugbo or sa Cebu for that matter, or is it a know-how problem? I'm talking about katong ni
way
atong
way
una ba
back.
ngano man nga di man kita makaparehas nila og recording.
No, because during the time, Manila was in control of the music industry.
Okay, okay.
Manila. So minang Vicor, Viva,
Okay.
Black Gold, Dyna,
Mhm.
kana silang mga
Okay.
Universal, kina sila mo they were the ones making the recordings for Filipino artists
Okay.
who eventually became OPM artists.
Mhm.
So what happened is ang mga investors, the businessmen who were into the music industry, put in their money there in Manila, put up
Mm.
studios.
Okay.
We had no businessmen, and even now there are very few Bisaya uh, investors, no, or entrepreneurs who kanang gamble into putting up a recording
Mm.
studio or making a record company nga kanang mo compete with Manila.
Ngano
So
man
what
na siya
happened?
dili na siya financially viable or unsa man wala lang gyud tay expertise and know-how and education
Oh,
about it.
we as of then or now? Then.
Well, then and now.
Oh, now we
Mm.
have
Mm.
definitely we have very good kana mga technicians at
Okay.
par with Manila and even at par with international.
Okay.
So we do have that now. But
Okay.
then sa una because we had no recording studios, so unsa may mapraktisan in town sa atong mga would-be studio technicians.
Okay, mga
So at that time wala and nobody wanted to kuan and there was one no of course nga nag-recording nga ni sa Cebu sa una si Yoyoy Villame. Yoyoy
okay.
Villame recorded his songs katong uh, in March 16, 15, 21.
Okay. Okay.
Di ba? He recorded that in Cebu.
Would
And
you be
then
able to
what
tell us
happened?
asa nga studio ha?
Kung I don't know, Antulihaw ba ka to? Di na ko
Okay.
kahinumdum ang
Antulihaw. Kinsa may
tingali
tag
ha.
mo na pangan sa studio. Kinsa may tagian ng
Tingali
Antulihaw?
sa
Unsa katong
David
tuiga
Catalon,
Mel?
no? Awa, kani mga 1970, late 70s, no? Or mid 70s.
Okay.
This was mid 70s.
Mm.
Katong Magellan nga kanta ni Yoyoy.
Okay, pero
Ang
ang
Magellan,
akong gipaminaw karon nga mga version ni ana basig re-recording na to. Nanisa kay murag limpyo naman kayo sa tanan.
it's possible that they have cleaned it up.
Okay.
But during that time, it was recorded here because Yoyoy, taga Bohol man na si Yoyoy,
Okay.
ni ari sa Cebu.
Mm.
And then dunay usa ka negosyante nga ingon nga I'll put money in Yoyoy Villame.
Mm.
And so they recorded the whole album. And then what had happened is eventually Manila realized, some studios in Manila realized, "Oy, this is gold mine." And so they got Yoyo Villame to record the subsequent songs in Manila. And if you
Mm.
would notice, most of the recordings of Yoyo Villame after Katong Magellan kuana kanang Tagalog na.
Mm.
In na Tagalog na because it was now Manila who was dictating on what materials to come out with.
Mm.
So si Kara is here already,
Yes,
June.
yes. Speaking of
So may
investing on recording
acknowledge
studios
her.
ba, natay kaning natay owner of a recording studio. She's actually the daughter of the founder of Backyard Project Studios, founded by Efren Junix Moania. We have Cara Moania Rosende. I should call her Attorney Cara Moania
Oh,
Rosende.
hi
Maayong
everyone.
buntag ni mo diya,
Sir,
Attorney.
I was your student. Good morning. I was your student, sir. Sa
Oy.
Student,
USC.
Oy.
you're addressing me?
Yes, sir. You. I was your student
Ah,
in USC Law.
Ah.
long time ago. Congratulations,
Yeah.
Attorney Kara.
Thank you. I apologize for my background. I'm at work right now because
Oh.
very last minute.
So dili
So I'm in a literal stock room.
good morning, Attorney. Welcome to 105.1 TMC. Ang atong programa gitawag natin og Orig Conversations with MEL Libre. Atong hisgutan karong buntaga, History of Recording Studios in Cebu. Kaning imuhang studio bang gi-found sa imuhang amahan si Junix?
Jonks,
Si
yes.
Junks,
Jonks
oh, si
Moania.
Efren Junks Moania.
Moania.
Imuhang
The
Backyard
legendary
Project
Jonks
Studios.
Moania.
Asa man ni siya kanus man ni nagsugod ang iyahang studio sa imong amahan nga si Junks.
So I'll try to answer the best I can because kanang ato nga time high school pa pud ko pero
Okay.
but yeah, and my dad unfortunately passed away in 2021.
Okay.
So around the mid 90s, dad was teaching at USC Fine Arts.
Mm.
So yeah, so he had a lot of students kay fine arts nga musicians, and dad was a musician also since he was in high school. So he's really interested in that kind of stuff. So nagsige na siya research on how to go about recording. Kay
Mm.
lagi, at that time, mahal kay ang recording sa Cebu. So, if estudyante ka, maglisod jud ka og afford,
Mm.
like mutya sa longga, medyo, kay dako sa biya silang investment. So, medyo maglisod jud ka og afford kung ordinaryo ra. So, he is former student, Jonathan Tejano. Sila mo yung nag-first ato nga nag-figure out unsaon 8-track recording pa to ato nga time ang ilahang gi-set up ka sa habagat gani loyo sa STC.
Oh, okay, okay.
Katong, oh yeah, yeah, there was an old house there kadto siya. So naaray room ngadto nga ilang gigamit.
Muna yung backyard
And
Hinagid sa
dili
backyard.
actually, di backyard sa amo na ng backyard sa
Mm.
balay sa Lahog.
Okay.
Oh, pero Jonathan linked him up with Mick Demeterio, who I think was still a student at that time, pero medyo genius gini si Mick in terms of technical stuff and electronical stuff. So moto, slowly nag-set up sila, nag-record sila a few songs sa Shumara Robot Balloons at the time, because Jonathan was in Robot Balloons. So after that, nag-decide si Daddy nga mag-set up na jud siya og actual studio at our backyard project dito sa Lahog sa Sanson Road.
Mm.
But backyard project was named backyard project not just because literal backyard kay murag kuan na siya na magazine daw sa una nga naay kuan nga naay portion nga backyard project nga mo teach you how to do technical or science projects at home.
Mm.
So mo daw na iyahang kuan kay murag at that time medyo lisod pa jud to DIY it.
Mm.
So
katong imong recording studio sa imong daddy ba, sa imong amahan si Junks ba? Katong sa Luyo sa my STC, katong sa may habagat pa. Unsa man to siya? Would you be familiar would you be familiar with the equipment? I can imagine, of course, ang imong equipment niya atong una is analog, pag ito dili pag ito digital, di ba? Of course, di ba?
Kuan siya dili siya open to the public, murag ila lang tong introductory experimental stage pa to nila ba. So I think nara sila, ako may remember 8-track unya. After adto kay dito na sila ni venture na to sila into digital. So by the time they opened up na to sa balay at Lahog, digital na sila, and they were the first digital recording studio here in Cebu, and one of the first maybe in the Philippines.
What year was this? What year was this, attorney?
Around 98.
Oy, 98. So kuan pa kaninga, if you think about it, that was very early on in the recording industry nga nanamoy digital recording. When you say digital ba, what equipment did you see back then? If you don't mind, nagit computer, di ba?
Na computer,
okay.
And then syempre nagyapay katong mga mixer and stuff and all the instruments. So yeah, basically that's it. But instead of kanang reel or tape, sa computer siya mo record.
Mm.
So
So
mo na siya.
1998,
So
Mel, 1998 po kuno Mel, nanay digital recording si Attorney Cara sa iyang backyard studios. Ang original name ani niya dili backyard, walat may pangan niya tong una, Attorney.
by the time nga naa na mi sa Lahog, backyard project
Pero
na
before
to
that,
sa
wala pay
backyard
pangan.
project studio. Wala mura experimental stage pa man to sila kato nag-start up mura ra gud siya jaminganan nga to sa murag set up lang sa instruments ug
Mm.
8 track lang murag more lang to ilang murag experimental pa nga stage pag
Mm.
95 90,
Would you
96 so
know if there was any song that's still playing on the radio now or was playing in the radio back then nga gi-record ninyo sa inyong studio nga experimental, gitawag na experimental?
murag dili siguro I remember dito ang robot balloons but I
Okay.
don't think they
Our
were
Robot Balloons is a band. Okay.
the Shumara they were like medyo sikat sila pag 90s medyo indie magud ang scene
Mm.
at that time.
Uh,
So
can you can
muna.
you can you speak to that kaning scene kaning another attorney MEL Libre kaning 90s ang recording nila kuno nara silang sa luyo sa STC sa may habagat kuno nga area katong habagat kanang maghimog outdoor equipment di ba unya familiar ka ni Mel kaila kaning Junks.
Yeah, of course, I know Jones.
Okay.
Jones is a legend.
Okay.
No, other than Habagat, he was a guitar maker, and then yeah, and he was also a pioneer in digital recording here sa
Oh, okay.
Cebu. So
Okay.
he is a legend.
Okay.
No, when you talk about Jones, sa taas kayong pagtanaw sa mga tao, labi na mga musikero
Okay.
niya, no, o
Okay.
mga mountaineering guys.
Oh, I think
So he was,
now that you mention it, I think I remember him now. Yeah, he has Junks has long hair, right? Am I correct? No. Sakto ba ko?
No,
It must
dili
have been
man medium hair.
medium hair. Anyway, so kaning iyang mga recording Mel nakagamit ka sa studio ni Junks sa
yes, I
huh?
did. There was a time that
Ah,
I recorded the song of kanang We Are Volunteers. I remember that.
Okay.
Sila si it was a like We Are the World style
Mm.
nga recording. Mick was the engineer. He's a genius of a
yes, he
he's one
is.
of the geniuses in mixing, no?
Okay.
Kuyaw na
Mhm.
Mick Dimiterio. He is so na-record ni ana si Eva Santos, si Monique De Los Santos, I think even si ang lead singer sa Sheila and the Insects, even
Bisoy
Katsky
oh.
was there in the early
Yeah,
days. So we recorded a song, no? So gigamit na mo sa Philippine National Red Cross when I was chairman of a Cebu at that time. And it was a very good, the result was truly fantastic, no? And so,
yeah, Sheila and the Insects was also one of the first few bands nga nag-record na to sa studio because
I
they
think
also knew
Urban
Dad
Dub.
from Urban Dub and yeah, those late 90s early to mid 2000 bands. A lot of them recorded at Backyard. Kato
So
mga nisikat na Urban Dub, first three albums of Urban Dub were recorded
agaw
there.
agaw agima tingali may have recorded
Yes,
there.
and
Mga
Slapshot.
yes,
Mm.
mga Nadella, no?
Yeah.
So yes, but before we go to before we go to Backyard in the early 90s
Mm-hmm.
jigs, nga na ang Mutya, no? I've mentioned Mutya already doing the Mango Jam album, no? There was of course A Salonga, no?
Yeah.
A Salonga nga ri sa kuan siya at bang sa Santo Niño Church sa Gorones building. That was his first studio there. And quite a lot of monks, no, was the of course
Mm-hmm.
ang banda nga nag-record ngadto sa kang kuan si Alvin, no, and the mga katong new Cebu music album, the independently released album nga gi-collect ni Alvin ang mga BTU katong With You and some other artists. They put up an album called New Cebu Music Volume 1 ngadto na gi-record sa kang Alvin nga A Salonga. And the studio technician then went by the name of Elvis Sumusot.
Oy, kaila kay ko ng
So
Elvis
Elvis
da.
Sumusot,
Okay.
yeah. And Elvis Sumusot, after si Alvin transferred to their residence nga rin dool sa Dihaco Salem, no? Somewhere there. What happened is si Elvis put up his own recording studio called
Mm.
Music Kinesis. Ang Music Kinesis was naangan na sa was then in Kukalyong building nga nasa Kukalyong building nga na sa Fort San Pedro dool sa kuan So nga siya sa I think second or third floor. I
Mm.
recorded most of my materials, no? Ako mga recordings nga independently produced with Elvis Sumosot. And another one who believed in Elvis was Father Rudy Villanueva.
Mm.
Um, uh, um, Also a great composer, no, of kanang religious songs. So si Father Rudy would go to Elvis and record most of his songs si kang Elvis. But then after Elvis, katong I think the digital thing came in. Ang kayong Elvis daghang kay siyang mga dako kay ang studio, unya daghang ig mga tracks ana gani. Nya speakers ngadto so and I think Elvis retired, no? I think nihunong na si Elvis. Elvis still around, but he is no longer doing
Wasn't he
recording.
associated with a recording studio, a recording company, Murag BMG?
For a time, before he opened Music Kinesis,
Okay.
he was appointed as the general manager or branch manager of BMG ngan his Cebu. Katong
Oh.
gitabangan niya o promote sila si Vincent Borromeo and Joel Oporto.
Mm,
They,
okay.
they they had a band that recorded an album there in Manila,
Mm,
and then times two. And
mm,
si Elvis was the one who helped promote the band of Joel. And Joel Oporto, after Elvis closed shop, si Joel Oporto in his home, na siya home recording, and I think it's still there, no? He's still accepting recordings. But si Father Rudy Villanueva went to Joel Oporto, and he always visited Joel because he would record some of his new songs sa studio ni Joel sa balay.
mm.
So muna siya. So and then Backyard came into the picture. And mao na katong mga not only katong gi-mention ni Kara no nga local bands, I believe there were even Manila bands who came to Backyard because it became sort of a kanang kinahanglan mo adto ka sa Backyard kay that's where Sheila and the Insects, that's where Urban Dub recorded their albums, right? Um,
Yes, the Agaw Agimat, although Agaw Agimat was one of the first Manila bands who recorded there, and Slapshot recorded two albums there, I think. And we also had a lot of bands from Cagayan who came over and all the other provinces. So yeah, for a time it was really the go-to. And Mick Mick also had a very distinctive sound, especially drum sound ni Mick Mick. So murag mana sila makaila sila nga backyard basta inana nga sound. So yeah,
And
it was very
if I'm not
recognizable.
wrong, Tara, I'm missing Philemon, no?
Yes.
Recorded the
Oh no,
album
no,
there.
no. I don't think Missing recorded there. I think
Mo
they
ba?
did it dito. Oh, wala sila inside dito. Just
But
the
I know
ambassadors. Yeah, the
Ambassadors,
ambassadors.
Iping
Uh huh.
Amores.
Yeah, Iping recorded there.
Yeah, but I think I
Mm-hmm.
remember a long time ago nga I first met Insoy Ninyal.
Mm-hmm.
He was very new in Sunstar. He just came
Mm.
into Sunstar and he asked me kanang asa man ko makamit og mga maayo nga mga musikero kay maghimo og banda na ako'y composition sir. Ya akong giingnan in one of the parties, Christmas party of Sunstar. So I told him na kung gusto ka makikita mga maayong musikero adto nga to sa backyard ngadto ka makakita og mga maayong musikero. And probably if I'm not wrong and Insoy can correct me, he might have just dropped by there and probably met
Probably.
kaning iyang mga kauban karon to form a Missing Philemon. Yeah,
Yeah, it was also a hangout place. Like people, the musicians would hang out there, record because we also had a jamming studio, a rehearsal studio. So
that's
the
right.
musicians would, yeah, hang out there, and we served some food. We had after a few years we served some food, humba rice, a small cafe. So and we would serve drinks, and they would stay there. Well, the regulars would stay there until dawn, and they would knock on my window to buy cigarettes.
Mao ni ang sa lahog.
Oh, sa lahog. Doon nila, Sir Jiki, di ba ikaw naka sa Resonant before mag-adtuan?
Yes, yes, oh.
Ilang dokted.
Oo.
Yeah, yeah. Doon na sa Resonant, kanang left turn before sa Resonant.
Ah.
Across sa,
So diha day dapita sa
kanang
lahog di ay.
Paranagasang. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Mao di ito
And
niya
as
I'm
of the moment,
go ahead.
Cara, your studio is still functioning?
Yeah, this after it was really a struggle to like get back on our feet after dad died, but we
Mm,
do still take recording. You just have to contact Mick or Hans, one of his assistants, to schedule recording. And
mm,
then the rehearsal studio is still there and we still serve food. But it's I'll speak to like what's happening right now, because although I don't have a band, I'm not a musician. Well, my husband is, but um we're uh we're active in the indie scene here right now. So there are really a lot of kanang maayo na jud mo, may laki na mo record unya like um ang uban wala equipment, guerrilla style, murag ang drums ra mo'y dapat jud pangitaan og legit nga space, but a lot of them do it through kanang sa ilaha lang sala and all that. And
Mm.
so a lot of people are already knowledgeable about digital recording right now. So dapat you really have to upgrade and to stay in the game.
So kanang imuhang gihisgot nga we have a vibrant indie music scene. Are there
Yes.
recording in your studio?
So my husband's band recorded there, the Spirals, but
Okay.
yeah, but some do, but mostly just the drum tracks,
Mm.
because they can record their guitar tracks and their keyboards and bass elsewhere,
Mm.
and some send it to Mick for mixing. Yeah.
Mm.
But as to the actual physical laying in of the tracks,
You know,
the bands can do it anywhere. And there are also a lot of new studios now. So I will say that where it's not as like especially with dad not being there,
mm,
because he really is the brains behind the operation.
mm,
So the studio isn't as active as it
mm.
was.
I'm curious ba when si Sir Junks ba when he got into this, uh,
Mm-hmm.
was it just simply out of passion or was he being entrepreneuring about it? I mean, na ba to'y part of
Ah,
him wanted to make money, wanted it to be a business also.
no, he was a man of many hobbies, a
Oh,
Renaissance man. He had a
okay,
lot of ideas and got into a lot of things, but
okay,
hardly any of them made money.
okay,
He
okay,
was into the outdoors. That's why he made Habagat, and that's
okay.
one of his most more successful like
Ideas.
uh ventures.
Okay,
Yeah, like successful commercially.
okay.
And he was a musician when he was young, and maybe because the kids are grown, he got back into it
Mm,
at that time.
mm.
Yeah, and so and it was one of his passions, so
So
that's why he made that.
obviously he has great ideas. Sabagat is one, and
Mm-hmm.
backyard perhaps is another. I'm curious, bang ano unsa barriers to entry to this industry? But is it like a profitable uh, uh, business, but to set up a recording studio based on your experience? Attorney Kara Mwanya Rosende, go ahead.
Okay, at that time, the barrier, of course, was more on knowledge at the time, because the equipment was more readily available because
Mm,
it's digital. So it was really the brain power and the know-how to
mm,
operate the digital stuff. As to the, you know what, I really can't tell because it has never been, honestly, it has never been like been a big money maker for us.
mm.
It's really just more of a hobby
The
with a lit that
passion,
pays for itself. Yeah,
passion
a hobby
project,
that paid for itself. Yeah,
murag passion
it
project.
was more Maraginana, hobby
Mm,
that paid for itself, that he
mm,
didn't have to ask mom for money to buy instruments.
so
It was more like that for him.
Ikaw,
Yeah.
Mel, you obviously know more about junks than I do. So, what are your thoughts on that? Kanang the profitability of a
kuan
recording studio. Kaya wa mo ko naibawan gyud nga kaning
ang full-time nga
profitable kayo ka
studios,
ang recording studio. Go ahead.
ang mga full-time nga studios were Mutya and Music Kinesis, no? Si Elvis Sumosot was really doing business in recording and mixing.
Mm,
He rented a space there sa Kukalyong building, and then he had recordings, and to make kay usahay ra baya ang mag-record og mga albums sa ngani sa Cebu. Kay if ever you get a recording contract, Manila would ask you to go to Manila to record
True.
your songs,
mm,
not in Cebu,
mm,
because probably they did not believe in the skills, no,
mm.
sa mga Bisaya at that time. But Elvis made do with commercials, mga
Yeah.
radio jingles. That's where the money is, I think, of Elvis during that time.
Mm.
And
Di ba?
election season, sir. Election
And
season is also
during election,
profitable.
mga
Yeah.
political jingles, that's where the money is. But moingong kag recording for a recording artist, no. Another group nga gi-produce ni Elvis nga nganha ra gyud sa iyang studio was kining katong Kangani Villarojo nga band Sakdap.
Mm.
Sakdap recorded a an album there and was even si Max Urban, no, went to the studio of Elvis and recorded some of his independently produced albums. So yes, there might be money in running a studio. I mean, Elvis is an example of that, and probably when digital recording came into the picture, probably it was not anymore a viable thing, no?
Mm.
Because like karong panahon na, kana si Shoti, I don't know if I'm correct, no? Shoti recorded his LDR sa iyang kwarto, and then suddenly it became a hit,
Mm.
di ba?
So most
So
siguro na siguro ang the accessibility of digital technology and the cost of digital technology, because that's how
Right.
mo gonna feature sa kaning technology, di ba? Magkadugay, magkabarato, di ba? So naitabo
yes,
siguro is it became, would you say, Mel and even Kara nga, it became too accessible nga now everybody has digital recording in their own homes na mismo.
Yes, agree. There was a sweet spot where backyard came in around the early 2000s to mid 2000s, where digital recording was cheap,
Mhm.
but few people knew how to do it.
Mhm.
So that's when we came in.
Mm.
So that's why. So but after that, a lot of people knew how to do it now. So I don't know. Well, I guess there's still some studios that do that are full time.
Mm.
I'm not so sure, but
so
there are still some full time studios. I don't know how they're doing financially though.
They're all going to
yeah.
YouTube University, di ba? And then doing it
Yeah.
themselves. Yes,
So
yes, Mel, go ahead.
karon jigs, there are actually studios which are kanang commercially functioning, no?
Okay.
Like one of those is Room 11,
Mm.
no?
Ah,
Room
yeah.
11 is with the Katskis
Katsuki, okay.
22
Yeah.
Tango,
Sa
no?
mango.
But I follow her kanang mga developments sa kang Katski,
You stalk her?
and I think what she is doing is she's conducting songwriting workshops.
Correct,
So
yeah.
people come and students come and
Mm.
they write. She teaches them to write songs, how to go through the whole process, not towards recording.
Okay.
And these people record their songs there,
Mm.
diba? And then she comes out with and releases helps them release the songs into the stations like sa ato istasyonan, di ba?
Mm. Yeah, correct.
Some of the works sa katong hara-hara musika Hiraya.
Mm.
She produced that, and I think she has a new sound studio nga kuan sad forthcoming.
Mm.
So you have to be creative to make sure nga makakwarta ka kay, because if you just
You know
wait
what?
and see for nga oy mo doon na maabot nga mag-recording nga ri, nothing's going to happen.
Mm.
So
Ka- uh,
Katsuki I think is doing good.
Okay. Attorney Kara, I know that
Yes,
you said you
yes.
were busy earlier, so daghang salamat.
Mm,
But if they want to record in your studio ba, kaning backyard studios, it
mm.
is still open, right? So if they want to communicate with you and ask you about any recording opportunities, schedule, and all of that, so asam sila manawag, asam sila mo message. Go ahead.
You can message our Facebook page. I'm the one checking, so
Okay.
I can reply.
Okay.
Yeah, so
Unsa may ngansan
you
yung
can just
Facebook
check the
page?
backyard project studio and cafe.
So kanang mag set up og mo contact ni Mikmik, ikaw na
Oh.
ikaw mo na bahala na, or sila pa what if they
Oh,
don't know Mikmik?
usually no, usually they message me and I give them Mikmik's number or
Ah.
Hans's number to contact, and
Mo,
then sila na mo magsabot because it's difficult to go in between sa naapa sila yung middleman to set their schedule ba. So I just let them contact each other
mo
directly
ni
and I
sila
don't
mahog
put
nag sound engineers ni sila kaning silang Mikmik og si Hans.
yes, sound
So
engineers.
wala gyud standby dito nga mag-operate sa boards dito kung musuod sila dito.
Wala. By schedule jud ang among recording.
Mm.
But the rehearsal studio is open. Like you can message to reserve, and you can also eat humba rice or famous humba rice.
So namoy restaurant
It's
dito.
still there.
Namoy restaurant
Yeah,
dito.
it's a murag cafe ra gud nga gamay
Pero abli siya,
humba rice.
abli siya
It's
even.
open from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. and it's
Oh,
open
okay.
every Monday to Saturday, 8 a.m. to
Ki
8
kibaw
p.m.
ka kibaw ka Mel ba ang and Kyra ba ang usa sa mga pinaka lisod i-replicate sa balay bitaw kanang recording studio bitaw is the room, is the acoustics, di ba? Kaya kanang mga recording
Mm.
studios, ang ilang treatment sa ilahang walls, kanang wall to wall gini siya nga
Yeah.
kaning acoustically treated bitaw. Unya, di ba, ingon sila nga you can hear a pin drop in a good recording studio, di ba? So usa sa mga butang nga dili ma-replicate og kaning masikinsa lang kay kadaghanan sa itong mga home studios mag-recording kuno sila atubangan nila kay ilahang dresser ilang mga sanina kuno di ba nga kaning naay
Mm.
the clothes serve as kaning as the acoustics di ba so inyong studio diha sa backyard I can imagine nga of course Junks being the brainchild behind that wapo kay na pag-acoustically treat good.
I believe so. Yeah, yun ang gistudyohan kay architect man sa to si dad.
Mm.
So that was what he really was. He was an architect. Architect nga dagag hobbies na
Ah,
tanang architecture.
okay.
So yeah, he did study that.
Okay, see, he's also the founder of Habagat, right?
Yeah,
One of the
yeah, one
founders
of
of
the
Habagat.
founders. Yes,
Attorney,
there's three of them.
naghisgot makagkanta sa imuhang partners sa katong bandang Spiral. Please send me a copy of the songs from the from his band. And maybe
Yes.
if you can tell everybody in the community of indie artists to email us their songs. Email it to me at
Yes.
jiggy@topsmediacenter.com so we can play it on the radio, okay?
Sure, there are a lot of really good bands that they're pretty successful, have a lot of plays in Spotify, and like most are affiliated with the ones that I know are more with Pon, and John Bottles.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So those are the production that
Palihog ko
sets up
palihog ko
gigs.
attorney be nga
Mm.
ipa-email
Sige,
na ato
sige.
ang ilang mga kanta para atong
Oh,
mapatukar sa BO
new
Rig
blood.
mapatukar to sa BO Rig Global sa New Zealand sa show ni
Yes.
MEL Libre mapatukar po nato diri sa 105.1 TMC. Kara Moania Rosende daghang salamat kay attorney
Yes,
ha.
sir.
And
Usahay,
happy
usahay, maikog ko, sir, kay ako'y kinamagwangan sa mga gigs, pero sige lang. Mga kids.
So you
continue
also
what you're doing, Kara.
Sir,
Continue what you're doing.
thank you, thank you.
yeah,
It's good to see you again, sir.
Yeah.
daghang
Sige.
salamat Kara
Salamat.
Moania Rosende. Don't forget to email it to us jiggy@topsmediacenter.com so we can play it here in Cebu and in New Zealand as well in MEL Libre show B Orig Global. Daghang salamat Kara.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, Kara
Okay,
Moania
bye.
Rosende. So very interesting kaya na siya Mel nga ang sila di ay si Kara o si
Mhm.
Junks mo ay murag pioneer sa recording digital
Digital.
recording in 1998 na napagid sa specific year. So that was the first time nga natay digital recording studio in Cebu in 1998. Interesting.
Yes, yes. So in a way, from there on, ang backyard had kanang digital recording, right? So subsequent to that, there were other studios that came about, and the one which I researched now, one is I mentioned to you is Room 11, no, kang Katsuki, and I already told you what she does in her studio. Mga Vispap albums, no? Mga Vispap songs were mostly recorded in Room 11. And another one is 1032 recording. I don't know if you're aware of the name Jad Bantog, no?
Not very
Jad
familiar.
Bantog,
Okay.
Jad Bantog had a band with his wife, no? I don't know, you may have played her song in the other station, but I forgot the name of her band, of the band of Jad and wife, no? But anyway, 1032 recording, the very first Vispap album, familiar ba ka sa the first Vispap winner, si Jewel Villaflores?
Yes, Duyog,
Duyok?
right? Duyog, yeah.
Yeah. And all the other songs in the first Vispap, as well as second or third tingali,
Mm.
kay ang naghimo atong Vispap was Jude Gitamundok, Katski, si Jad Bantog, og si kining sa Sheila and the Insects.
Mhm.
I forgot his name, no?
Mhm.
One of the members of Sheila and the Insects. They formed a group to come out with this pop, and they needed an arranger.
Okay.
to make kanang yung nindot nga recording.
Mm.
This was already in the digital age na ni sa recording, no?
Wow,
And
okay.
they got a guy by the name of Jad Bantog,
Mm.
a student in the Don Bosco, who's a very good musician, and ngilingig sa ay nga mo arrange. So he arranged most of those songs, and he had a studio in his house. Kanang 1032 is actually the address of the house in White Hills subdivision in Banawa.
Mm.
So actually, so si Jad recorded most of the songs, and people would go there and record the songs. Ang iyang mama was a justice of the NLRC.
Mm.
Maingon yung mama nga adto mo skilled agi ha kay ayaw nga rin sa among sala. Ito arang recording studio to sa Loyo. So and that was I think one of the key moments nga nisaka ang kanang quality of the music in other than Jonk's doing rock albums kay mostly rock albums were made in backyard,
Mm.
but ang mga pop were mostly made in 1032 recording studio with Jad Bantog. So if you try to listen to Vispap 1, 2, and 3, you can see nga maayog yung kayang recording.
Mm.
And then another studio that came about was ang Mutya kanang murag kanang gibalhin ang Cebu Pop Music Festival si Eddie Gullias was the father of Cebu Pop Music Festival. It used to be run by Mutya, no? Si Cesar Las Piñas Senior, the father of Jun Las Piñas. But eventually, something, I don't know what had happened, or tingali si Cesar Las Piñas was not anymore interested or had gotten old, and it was transferred to Gani and Gloria Villarojo. And si Gani and Gloria put up their own recording studio called Soundtracks Production Studio.
Mm.
And now most of the bagong mga recordings sa Cebu Pop Music Festival are done in the Soundtracks Production Studio ni Gani o ni Gloria. Have you ever met Gani and Gloria Villarojo, Jigs?
I'm not sure. They sound very familiar.
Yeah, usually mga sinulog idol, kanang
Mm.
mga sa Santo Niño, Juninho,
Okay.
o ang Cebu Pop Music Festival. Those are projects which are now managed by Gloria Villarojo. Another, of course, Kalye Musica. Have you ever heard of Kalye Musica Recording Studio?
Wa sa kuno kadung ana Mel.
Have you heard of the name Brian Sacro?
Of course, I think he's also considered a legend in the industry, right? He also
Uh,
passed away not too long ago.
yeah, quite sad, no?
Mm.
I went home to Cebu about 4 years ago. I met him ngadto, and then he was vibrant, and he was a key figure also, no? Most recordings about 4 years ago and 5 years ago, 6 years ago,
Mm.
ato sila ni Brian, because Brian was a musician himself, no? Brian used to be work together with Katski. They
Mm.
were together in the Katski's band before, and then Brian put up his own recording studio called Kalye Musica, and I
Okay.
think it still is operating at the moment. I don't know kinsay naghandle sa iyang studio karon, but Kali Musica is also a good recording studio.
Okay.
Digital sa na siya,
Okay.
Jiggy.
So mayong
Uh,
mayong buntag sa tumang kaigsunan nga naminaw nato sa YouTube o sa Facebook o sa TikTok. Si Indy Cripsley, si Kara is still there. Daghang salamat once again Kara, si Jamiko Gabales Gabato, si Fajardo Zandro. O hinay ko na imong tingog at Attorney Mel. Si Justin Narvios, kani si Justin Narvios ato ning papilon kay basig natin siya ikatampo kay kuan man ni siya, Viva Recording Artist man ni siya. Oh, Viva Recording
Viva
Artist mo
Studio
siya. Nay nang utana diri oh. Sa TikTok Mel ba si Ilonao. Ilonao. Was there auto-tune back then? Way back. Kaning auto-tune mo maning murag voice processor nga imong tingog mausab, di ba? Katong niadtong unang teknolohiya Mel, is it possible to change your voice? Can you cheat? In other words, nga basta nakayabag-yabag gamay da imong timplahan maayo ka. Pwede ba na niadtong una dili?
I think sa during the analog time, probably no, no?
Kung yabag
But
ka,
I
yabag
remember,
yung ka.
yabag. But I remember, I remember sa sa recording na mo ni Elvis, no? Uh,
Elvis sumusot.
Usually 16 tracks man na.
Okay.
Taas-taas na.
Okay.
Usay 24 tracks na gud na.
Mm.
So ma-identify niya ang imong voice, no? In one track. Anya doon na naman to, I think he had already started to adapt digital then. So pwede nga kanang erase ang kung makita niya nga yabag
Mm.
gamay,
No, na
iya nang i-move ang cursor sa yabag unya i-kanaog o saka man aron maigsakto.
Mm.
So
Murag pitch
so
control siya, mahog pitch control.
that is correct.
Okay.
Yes. They did that. Probably karon sa digital, kung yabag ka, tingaling mahimo na kang gwapong tingog, no? Kay isa lang ka tuslok tingali, wa na. Naigo na ng nota tanang nota.
So ang akong pangutana karon Mel ba is I can imagine nga tong una nga analog pa unya ang industriya kaning mura og gamay pa kaistanan ba. Pero karon man gud kung na kay recording studio ba dili ra man limited to voice singing studio recording for songs, right? Daghan naman kay tag oportunidad, let's just say for example for voiceovers, di ba? Naman tay
That's right.
kaning again because of the way that the digital entertainment digital media is constructed now natay age of Netflix man ta karon, age of Spotify, di ba? So daghan kayong mga voiceover nga madunggan nimo sa Spotify nga mga tingog o niya napog kay daghan kayong mga siguro mga dubbing siguro sa mga salida sa sini sa Netflix and so on and so forth. So daghan kayo og potential kung naon ang nimo theoretically daghan kay potential nga mogamit sila sa imuhang recording studio.
Mm. That is correct. Mao na nga I think it is high time nga ang taga Cebu there should be entrepreneurs who would put in money
Mm.
in recording because as stated earlier daghan na mga indie artists nga sa Cebu nga they're into recording
Mm.
and the quality of the musicianship of the Cebuanos have been proven nga kaya na nato nga we can even we are equal to Manila and some of our artists are even good for international consumption na gani, no? So but there
Pero
is
Mel, ang atong mga recording studios ka, atong mga voice talents, mga singers, naayo usa ka dako kayo nga development. Naay dako kayo nga development nga medyo nag-threaten sa industriya and which is AI. Kay kibaw ka nga kanang tingog sa tao, mamimik na siya og usa ka makina, usa ka program, di ba? So dili na kinanglan nga moadto ka og studio kung kibaw lang ka mo gamit, pwede ra nga tingog sa usa ka robot, usa ka application maka-record na og tingog, di ba? In fact, og mga kanta po naghisgot man ta ni atong una, di ba? Katong kang Jean Govinda, di ba? Nga nay nag-accuse niya nga AI kuno tong kantaha. So murag
yes.
namiligro siguro ng industriya. Sakto ba ko Mel? Is that a correct assessment?
That is also possible, no? Kay yeah, I mean even a kanang like I will give you an example. I think I may have mentioned this before. Nga there's one YouTube channel nga ang iyang concentration is Beatles AI,
Oh, okay.
no? Ang iyang gibuhat is he composes songs in the style of the Beatles.
Oh.
And then he puts it into an AI and then grabs the sound of the tingog ni Paul McCartney,
Mhm.
the tingog ni John Lennon, unya puts it together into his song. So
Mm.
what happens is when you and he releases it every now and then, and you can hear nga, uy, nabuhi magbalik si John Lennon o si John Lennon
Mhm.
singing a song in the style of John Lennon,
Okay.
but it's called Beatles AI.
Mm.
So ang imong giingon nga will it threaten the recording studios in a way because the softwares are so readily available at this point in time. People are recording already in their bedrooms,
Mm.
diba? And but they only need a professional studio technician to mix it and to make it sound good.
Mm.
So naagyapoy trabaho ang mga technicians, no?
Okay.
Because they're the ones who makes the final mix to make sure nga maayo gyud ang gawas
Mm.
sa recording sa usa ka artist.
So tanaw ni mo Mel, maski dili uh, maski accessible na kay ang teknolohiya sa digital recording because it's all pretty much in a computer, di ba? Mo man ay murag
Mhm.
the technology gyud nga game changing, di ba? Ang computer, everything can be in the computer. So the recording, if you really think about it, the main brain center of a recording studio is really the computer. Of course, you have to get good equipment, a good microphone, and good acoustics. Right?
Mm.
Although an argument can be made nga a computer actually can simulate a good recording studio, di ba?
That is
So Mel,
true.
ang pasabot niya na Mel nga uh, ang maghimo kag recording studio kinanglan ang imong expertise grabe jud kayo tanan siguro kanang mura na jud kag I'm sure there are people think that YouTube University is enough knowledge pero the truth is anything in this world requires a lot of time to learn and to understand, and people actually have to go to school too. So tan-aw ni mo Mel kaning department kaning industriya ha kinanglan sad ni siya siguro og kaning mura og mga educational institutions to teach recording properly and so on and so forth. Dili lang ni mahimo og YouTube University, dili lang ni mahimo kay kibaw ka mogamit og computer nana kay recording studio niya imong recording nindot na kaayo kay murag kaning recording I think is also in a way very complicated too, right?
Yes, yes, that is correct. No, I mean, probably there should be courses in. I don't know if in Cebu there is such an institution or even in Manila. No, but I'm pretty sure that there are institutions internationally
Mm.
that makes it easy, or that where sound technicians, no, or technicians are able to kanang learn more about how to develop a better sounding microphone or things like that.
Okay.
But even then, no, kanang imong YouTube University
Mm.
is also helpful for people who are kanang 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 do nagi abilidad gani.
Mm.
There are people who are just so good that all they have to do is they have the basic talent or raw talent
Mm.
for or passion in that channel or in that venue, that they all they need is just to read more. And like for instance, Elvis Somosot never went uh, to
Sound engineering school.
a wa na siya. I mean, he was a musician.
Mm.
He studied in Manila uh, for a music course, but he just read a lot of materials. I mean,
Mm.
materials are very important. You have to research so that you can develop and then buy the new equipment to make it better.
Okay.
No,
Mel,
that's how it is.
uh, I know nga, we have reached a point in our recording here in Cebu or in the Philippines, for that matter, nga makakompete na ta globally. But are we really there already, or kung maminaw ka og kanta nga record sa, let's just say, sa Amerika, in a studio in Hollywood, for example, or whatever recording studio ni Jay-Z, or kinsa pa nang uban din Dr. Dre, ilahang mga kaning studios, ikumpara nimo sa mga kanta nga gi-record diri sa Pilipinas, sa Cebu. Tan-aw nimo at par na ba gyud ta, or are we just delusional?
I think we are at par already
Okay.
because of the fact that the software and the
Okay.
hardware are readily available.
Mhm.
And maminaw ka sa mga not here in the station because you don't play American music, right? Or
Mhm.
Western music kay paan mo kita Bisaya man ta ang atong concentration.
Okay.
But in other stations I listen and they put in the local material itupad nimo dili bintahaan. I mean,
Okay.
in the age of Johnny Kawa, wherein
Mm.
katong station that he managed before played mostly 80-40 music, but at the same time he ventured into playing original music of local artists
Okay.
when lo-fi pa kayo ang kuan. uh, Kaya mura magyapon og okay ra,
Mm.
but now that was 20 years, 25 years, or 30 years ago.
Okay.
And now the quality of the sound that people are making here in Cebu sa ato mga artists
Okay.
at par with Manila, and I'm pretty sure it's at par with international.
Okay,
So
kay
like
nakinumdum ako gud nga I had this conversation. I should have invited Barney Borja here sa, but I remember man gud during the time when there was what they called Visma, Visayas Music Awards.
oh yeah, 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 yeah,
I
Visayas.
think they flew in the sound guy, the producer of kaning Madonna.
Yes.
That's the producer of Ray of Light katong nga album bitaw.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Unya, he was saying, like, daghan patag kanon nga uh, gatas nga imnon o kanon kani nga in terms of our recording here in the Philippines ba. Kana bang producer ba? Sound producer or producer? Unsa
Producer.
magi in the scheme of things ba, in the scheme of recording a song ba, kanang producer unsa magi role niya. I'm curious
Now,
ba.
now, like right now, I'm recording a kini probably in a matter of 2 months I will
Okay.
release the song.
Okay.
The title of the song is Elton John.
Okay.
No, and I had a I had it arranged. So ako ang composer, no?
Okay.
Ako ang composer, and then I go to a person who is going to arrange it,
Okay.
no? So he is going to listen to me unsay akong concept sa kanta, unsay mga instrumentation
Okay.
nga akong ibutang ato sa kanta ug unsa nga style or genre ang akong kanta.
Okay.
Now, that person who is an arranger can likewise be the producer, meaning say he
Mm.
is the one who kanang not only arranges but also mixes and comes out with the end product.
Mm.
Product. Product producer.
Mm. So
So
dili ka
he's also a
makaingon nga
producer.
kanang producer, just like a for example a movie director, 'di ba? For example si Wes Anderson, sila ni kinsa pa nang uban diya, Steven mga director si Steven Spielberg, na sila yung murag signature move ba, signature sa ilang mga movies that they make, 'di ba? Kanang producer pod, would you be able to say nga in a way uh, palpable, audible ang ilahang influence sa usa ka kanta, makaingon ka kaning katahang gihimo ni so on and so forth, ni Jay-Z ni nga studio, kan Dr. Dre ni nga studios. Is that what it is? Is that possible nga napoy
Yes.
signature?
Yes, definitely. Dunagi ka ng, there's a certain sound that a producer makes in his kanang product
Mm.
or sa recordings.
Okay.
Like in the forthcoming tomorrow, no,
Okay.
hopefully you'll be airing the most recent episode of Be Ori Global,
Correct, yeah.
which we focused on a producer.
Okay.
His name is Jay Ehedio.
Okay.
No, Jay Ehedio is an arranger and a producer based in Davao.
Okay.
Now, I came to know him because of another artist based here in Hamilton, si Benmark Mercado,
Mhm.
and si Sia is I may have told you already that si Kitchinadal is back with a new album, and one of the songs of Kitchinadal was arranged by J. Ehedio.
Okay.
Now, si J. Ehedio is the one who arranged and produced most of the songs which came out of our B. Orig songwriting workshop nga rin.
Mm.
So kanang like a good example is kanang katong kang Troy sa Sunog, no? That's arranged by J. Ehedio. O Kalimti Ako, which you have also aired,
Mhm.
that comes from J. Ehedio. So there's a certain type of sound nga makita nimo nga ang quality niya nga makaingon ko nga kang J gini nga arrangement.
Mm.
So
Asa man
if you're
nagikan Mel? Kay nakibaw ko kanang imong giingon nga signature sound ba, asa man na siya gikan? Kay kibaw ka, ang ako ang nahibaw-an is kanang naamanggoy beat, nice sound nga proprietary, na mga sound kana sila ni mga people as big as kanang mga Dr. Dre, kanang mga kaning Jay-Z, na sila yung mga beat nga proprietary, meaning to say nga ilan na nang gi patent, you can't use that a particular sound anymore. Otherwise, you'll have to pay them or something like that. Is that where it's coming from? Kanang imong giingon nga signature sound, or it comes from just the
No,
creation process itself? Good.
it is the creation process.
Okay.
I'm shocked to know that do na mga kanang patented nga mga
Na
beat sila si
na
Dr.
siya
Dre.
Melo.
That's quite sad, no?
Okay.
Because I think that's the reason why kinsa ni the one who sang perfect, Ed Sheeran.
Mm.
Kaning Ed Sheeran was gikiha siya kay he made reference to Marvin Gaye
Mm.
when he wrote a song.
Yeah.
And then ang katong was it Marvin Gaye or some other artist, no,
Mm.
filed a case against him saying nangawat man ka sa among kanta, no.
Mm.
That's a because the chord progression
Mm.
is the same. But when you compose a song, there are only few chords. It should be D, G, A, D, G, E minor, A.
Mm.
Ana ra gina siya, balik-balik ra gina siya, B
Mm.
minor. Ana. So if you go to another chord, it will sound terrible,
Okay.
no? So I don't kung doon na may patented nga sound si Dr. Dre, that's bad for
Mhm.
the business because creation is based on inspiration.
Mhm.
And you say, if I am an artist, I look up to, let's say, Stevie Wonder or Billy Joel,
Mm.
and I'm inspired by their music. So I create a song which is not a copy of any of the songs of either Billy Joel or Stevie Wonder,
Mm.
but has elements nga mumura nga 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 murag dunay influence,
Mm.
no? Ang kining artist nako. I did not copy him, but I was influenced by him.
Mm.
Because where do we create?
Pero
Where do
kuan
we
man gud
start
Mel,
creating?
I think man gud the point is nga ang kanta mismo, I'm sorry, ang beat mismo, ang sound mismo, ang makina, ang instrumento giimbento pod. Ano bitaw? Murag
Mm.
giimbento pod nila ba? So murag mahimog nga sila tagiya na nga let's just say beat for example. So kung mogamit ka na yan na pwede siguro pero mobayad ka or something to that
Ah,
to that effect.
yeah.
May po nga mga kibaw na ka sa kaning kaning commerce kan capitalism, murag unlimited man na ang mga creativity sa mga tao kung kwarta na hisgutan, di ba?
Yeah, that's bad, no?
Okay.
Because like when you say reggae,
Okay.
you will always associate it with Bob Marley.
Correct, yeah.
If Bob Marley kanang put up a iyang register ang iyang the way that he did he delivers reggae in such a manner,
Okay.
and then so all the others who will try to copy his style
Okay.
or ang iyang beat
Okay.
will have to pay him,
Mhm.
diba?
Correct.
And that's not good. So how will reggae become popular if you are the only one owning that beat?
Mm. Okay. I understand your point. Pero naman siguro ikuan kaning just like kaning music ba licensing ba nga, I think just like any other licensing bug na siya amount of time di ba nga maybe after 50 years I think if I'm not mistaken it becomes a free domain like for example kanang mga classic books for example kanang mga Moby Dick kanang mga Hansel and Gretel I think it's already in the free domain so anybody can reprint the book in the same way I think as the classical songs the mga Beethoven and Mozart you can actually record it and not have to pay license at a certain time if I am not mistaken. But we think we digress. But I think the point here is nga kanang recording studio importante ka ay na to create a certain sound, di ba? So kanang kung recording studio like I said earlier with the Attorney Kara nga mo niya nga kaning i-treat man na siya acoustically nya kanang treatment sa imuhang studio sa imong room mo na nang sound sa imuhang part of the sound and of the recording, di ba? So ang microphone mo pareha ra imong gamiton mo gina usually studios use like only one microphone unless nasa lang mga different uses for it. So ang studio will also determine the sound of the band or the artist. Am I right? Sakto ba ko Anabel? Pinawagtang man si MEL Libre. Anyway, 0999-887-6070. Kung na mo yung mga pangutana diha, just let me know. I-message lang ko sa TikTok, sa Facebook, sa Instagram. and sa YouTube. Huwag tang man si MEL Libre. Anyway, and if you have any questions, please feel free to just text them to me. Okay, 0999-887-6070. Mayong buntag ni mo diya. Sheena Ocariza, Sherlita Texon. Daghang salamat sa inyong pagpaminaw. Kinsa pa na diri? Si Fims Tenips. Who else is here? Asam ni si Justin. Si Indy Crespley. Maayong buntag ni mo diya Miss Indy Crespley. And of course, si Fajardo Zandro. Kano sa ta makita diri Zandro? Ato ni nang hisgutan ni muhang mga adventures on a motorcycle diha, ha? Kaning si Fajardo H. Zandro tagiyan ni sa Oz Racing kaning mura og motorcycle fashion and equipment supplier ni siya and maker. Anak ka diya, Mel? Anyway, ang atong hisgutan karong buntaga sa atong Orig Global Conversations, naghisut kita og the history of recording studios in Cebu. And we had a chance to talk to Cara Muanya Rosende Kaganina. She is the daughter of Junks, a legend in the recording industry, in the studio industry, aside from other things. Of course, he's the co-founder of Habagat as well. And si Cara has continued on the legacy of Junks by continuing on the recording studio that is Backyard Recording. And I'm glad that I was able to invite her. We were able to invite her to talk about how Backyard Recording Studio is. As it turns out, napadating Backyard Recording Studio. So it still exists, and the Backyard Studio still is functional. And in fact, you can still record your music there or whatnot in the Backyard Studio somewhere in Lahug. Doon ako nun sa kaning Resonant Studio. Good afternoon. I text sa 1191. Pa-shoutout di ko sa akong asawang nag-celebrate og 32nd birthday si Joanne Branzuela. Daghang salamat Joanne Branzuela sa Luyang, Carmen, Cebu from Jonathan Branzuela. Daghang salamat sa imong pag-text 0999-887-6070. Daghang salamat. And right now we have Justin Narvios. Maayong adlaw nimo diha Justin. Asa man karon nganong nag-Zoom ra man ka asa man karon?
Hi, Jiggy. Hi, everyone. Top
Oh,
of the
mayong
morning.
buntag
Kamusta,
mo diha. Mayong
everyone?
buntag mo diha.
May bungkag, may
Gi, gi,
bungkag. I'm so
gi,
sorry. I can't be there in person.
well, we can still feel you. Where's your video? We want to see your face too. You know.
I'm in the spirit ba. Yeah, I'm using my phone for now
Okay.
because my other laptop usually ko mag-Zoom call me. I use the laptop of my brother kay
Okay.
mas tinaw to siya camera niya.
Okay.
My laptop's kind of busted kay crack ang screen. So
Okay.
let me just figure this out
Okay. Anyway,
for the
Justin,
fans.
I'm actually was waiting for your inputs on this conversation. Kaya naghisgot man gud ta og history of recording studios in Cebu. Unya, I don't know kung nakaabot ka, but ang first digital recording studio ko no was kaning Backyard Recording Studios nga pinag-iya ni Junks Moana. Pero ang iyang daughter, he passed away not too long ago. Ang nagpadayon sa legacy siyang recording studio siyang amahan. So napadayon pa ning Backyard Studio. Pero way before that, before 1998, which was the first digital recording studio in Cebu, natay mo gitawag ang analog recording studio. Akong pangutana Justin ba ikaw Viva Recordings artist mangyud ka? How do you describe the recording studios of Viva?
Yeah, so ang Viva Recording Studios is actually at our office na
Okay.
ana siya sa Banilad
Okay.
in AS Fortuna.
Okay.
And so far it's nice, no? Kaya there's also another room for the band. So usually in other recording studios I've been to, separate bitaw ang rooms where you record vocals, and
Okay.
there's another separate room where they have the instruments, or sometimes they can bring the instruments together where the vocalist would sing.
Okay.
Pero sa Viva, it's just like one big room nga naay part for the drums, and there's like an area for the guitar, and then we also have the area with the actual mic. And
Okay.
I like it kay there's there's a lot of options when it comes to the mic, no? First, actually, Jiggy, wala jud ko'y alamag anang
Okay.
what kind of mic is best. But
Okay.
apparently, ang mga producers, they have a preference sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
depending on the type of music you wanna sing. So I didn't know that until naka-record ko nga, okay, usahay, kung mga rock songs, for example, they would say, kani nga mic, better ni.
Okay.
Kay the way it captures your voice for some reason is different. Niya.
Oh.
Bisag duol kay ka, bisag musyagit ka, okay
Mm.
siya. Kung
Oh.
na another mic pod nga mas ano daw siya, mas applicable or better for like R&B music, for
Mm-mm.
example. To be honest, the technical things, I really suck at that.
Okay, but kuan siya, of course, this is all digital now, right?
All digital na. That's
Okay.
in the Viva recording
Okay.
studio.
O
But
diya,
I have tried other studios in Cebu, and one nga nakaingon jud ko nga nice yun kaayo, no. Sometimes it's not also with the tech, it's really also with the service sa kaning sound engineer. Like
okay.
fast sila mo work is kang Miss Katski nga
Okay.
studio.
Okay.
Miss Katski studio as well, ang room 11 in where is this? Mango
Mango
Square.
Avenue. I'm curious, but I actually asked, and we were about to talk about this. Napo told me ni Mel Libre.
Ni Sir Mel,
Oh,
yeah.
kaning ang recording studio ba? Aside from the microphone, of course, which is the instrument that you're going to use, right? Ikaw mismo,
Mm-mm-mm.
some artists have a preference not just because it's a sponsorship, but nagud sila preference sa ilahang microphone, right? And also na sila preference sa ilahang recording studio, not because again it's sponsored,
It's not
but
sponsored.
na sila sound nga try to recreate. Imong tanaw ba kaning sa ni Justin Narvios, ang imong tanaw, does it matter to you kung unsa nga mikropono imong gigamit? Number one. And number two, does it matter to you kung unsa ang recording studio ang imong gigamit? Ang mga factors nga appeal ana when I say a recording studio is the acoustic treatment, di ba? Kaya kanang studio, grabe man kaya siya ka acoustically treated in the sense nga dili mo banda ang sound, di ba? Wag yun glass and so on and so forth, di ba?
Yes, sir.
And of course,
Ang
part of
reflection.
that is the equipment and like you said, you mentioned it also, the service, di ba? Does it matter to you ba?
Oh, that's a good question. Sometimes, Jiggy, ba, I weigh it 50-50, especially with the music I like to make. And even sa akong mga students in my previous school, or the youth who'd come to me and say like, oh, I want to make music. Where do I go? Asa
Okay.
ko mo go? Sometimes I tell them weigh it out. You can go for a really advanced, like expensive studio,
Okay.
and sometimes the results are almost guaranteed. Like, kana you have the facilities is
Mm.
checked already, so you
Okay.
know nga okay, they have the soundproof walls that you look for. They have the best mics, the most kanang mga US ng equipment, blah blah blah, and they have a
Mm.
sound engineer that's
Okay.
gonna be there good to ready to cater to you.
Okay.
Nya sulit to nimong time. But at the same time, I've also seen a lot of artists manggud karon ba nga. Grabe kaning mga bata Ajiki that they
Mm.
just record within the four corners of their room.
Okay.
Like ang quality is just as good. For example, kanang si Shotty, we play his music a lot.
Mm.
A shout out sa mga daghan kay mga fans ani niya
Okay.
kanina mga songs like LDR.
Okay.
His first songs, especially on LDR, kay sa kwarto raman na niya gi-record.
Really?
These are self-recorded, yeah, and
Wow.
a lot of these songs kay gina-produce na pud by him or for example, yeah, my friends. I know a lot of artists nowadays that do recording in their closet kanang magbukot lang og habol. So
Mm.
maybe, but what they tell me, ang ilang gi-invest na lang is the microphone.
Mm.
So you're right, Gijinga, the equipment is heavy. Marag there's still a balance, but if you were to spend on something, sometimes maybe they would, I think, cut the cost of going to a studio,
Okay.
pero they spend man sad on a nice mic.
Mm.
So I guess it's
Ikaw Justin,
yeah.
naipangutana diri sa 0999-8876-070. Gikan ni James from Lapu-Lapu City. Sa imong
James.
experience, Justin, pila may rate sa recording studio?
Mm. Hi James, top of the morning. Thank you so much for listening to us all the way from Lapu-Lapu. So this is the thing, ang recording studio that I've only ever been to, no. When now in Viva, I go to
Okay.
Viva, but
Okay.
even when I was independent and even for my latest song, ni-record ko aning kang Miss Katski Room 11.
Okay.
It is 1,000 per hour, but you have a minimum of 2,000.
Okay.
So 2 hours, 2,000 mo. Additional lang kag another 1,000 if you were to extend. Pero
Mm.
based on my experience, this is why you really need a fast sound engineer. This is my
Okay.
tip for those nga ganahan mo record
Mm.
for vocals or band. If your engineer is really fast in taking kanang note bitag mo ko nga, sir, pwede balikon ni nako aning kaninga part, masulit man gud nimo ang 2 hours or
Mm.
1 to 2 hours.
Okay.
So you sometimes you wouldn't need to extend. It's really all about your pace ba. Kay they just base it man good the more magdugay-dugay ka, the more ka mo mess up sa imong recording, then the more the cost, ano no, the more nga mas mahal siya. That's why I would always advise people nga before ka mo record, really warm up,
Okay.
balik-balik the song in your head niya. Already make a structure para before you enter the recording room, you can already sabot the sound engineer. Nga,
Mm.
sir, mo record mi ani nga part ha. O after all of this, mo record mi sa backing vocal. After that, para masulit ang time ba? Not
Mm.
the other way around
Okay.
because when you let there's nothing wrong with that. Some people don't know what to do. So it's the sound engineer that kind of directs the whole thing, tells them, okay, sir, mo record pa kaning nga part.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with that, but if you wanna cut down on cost and sulit your time sa mga studios,
Pero pero
that's what I
pero
would suggest.
pero kaning imuhang recording
Mm-mm.
solo ni siya, right? Solo meaning to say nga you did not bring with you a band unsa man na kadang imong
Yeah,
ihisgot nga
that's the
1,000 per
thing.
hour. I think madali na siya kung naa kay I don't know what do you call it -1 unya why
Yes.
kay banda or naa kay banda aning imong i-record naabot rag mahimo rag usa ka o duha ka oras.
So in my case, I don't have a band. I
Okay.
just give a skeletal track. Mura bitaw siya plain lang nga instrumental. It's not even the one that the producer will make pa.
Okay.
It's like the demo version, the
Oh.
raw instrumental.
Okay.
Mao na akong i-use just para maka-timing bitaw ko sa beat
Mm.
and I can sing over it.
Okay.
Anyway, ang finished product ana is just my voice naman sad ang
Okay.
tape, and then I send it to the producer. So I
Mm.
don't know. I think the rates might change when you bring a band, but as
Correct,
far as
correct.
I know,
Because it will
oh,
occupy more space also, di
mm,
ba?
and the
Number
time
one.
also,
And
mahigid na siya.
I think I can imagine nga napon na additional usage of equipment, right?
Yeah, that too, that too.
And
So
so kana imong rate nga gihisgot dugay na ni siya unsa nang tuiga siya 1970 unsa man nitong recording kana imong first song sa
well, actually, this was around 2 years ago
2 years
because I
ago.
recorded for Waves Mansad or
Ah,
last year.
okay.
I recorded there also for Waves
Okay, so
sa
kanang imong 1,000 per
Room
hour,
11.
that's probably for a solo artist like yourself, right?
Yeah,
And
just voice.
so
Voice ra.
if the rates may vary, but you can James, you can contact Katski. Sayo naman na siya, dili man na artist si Katski, so i-message lang siya sa iyang Facebook page. I'm sure you can you can
Yes,
you
you can just
can
check out Room
yeah
11
yeah
recording studio or Miss
yeah
Katsuki
yeah.
mismo.
Or there are other
And
recording studios too that you can consider
yeah,
also as well. Katong backyard hisgot ni ko ni
kana.
Attorney Cara, abogado po to siya kaning Justin. You're
Yeah, so
surrounded
cool.
man by lawyers o yun or kanang resonant
Ma-pressure man ta,
audio.
Jiggy.
Ano, what's that?
Ma-pressure man ta. It's so cool ba? Yung imong i-invite kay mga attorneys.
Mo lagi
And I like it.
gahapon gali gan ako gi-interview nga artist si Kate Lucero.
Mm-hmm.
We actually talked about you because
Oh,
mo take up pod siya og law. She just graduated in UP. Niya mo proceed siya og law kung may tatog na si Justin dira da kay
wow.
nangutana ta kaniya kung maayo ba nga idea nga mo mag-law ka or dili.
Yeah, but it's very interesting, Jiggy, no? And that's what I like about our show here sa Top of the Morning. We're not like constricted to the kind of industry that you're in. Daghan kitang mag-invite ng mga lawyers, pero
Mm.
mga experts sa
Mm.
music, like si Sir Mel,
Okay.
and a lot of them nga mga artists po nga. It's funny nga, mao na lang profession, pero they also have other hobbies that
Mm.
makarelate po na to mga listeners
Mm.
to other topics as well. Like kani mga music. You know what, Jiggy, na reminded ko ba?
Uh-huh.
Do you remember the film Bohemian Rhapsody?
Is this the real life or is it just fantasy?
The fantasy.
Okay.
Yeah, di
What
ba,
about
di ba ang pagka-record nila, it's nice to see ba how in the past, if, di ba, you layer voices, meaning, di ba, naaman siya sound nga murag, multiple people sing at once, somewhat like a choir, but it's all just Freddie Mercury. But in the way that they record it, balik-balik yun din, no? Like, he sings each line and each line and then repeats it again and then they patong-patong it or layer it.
You know what?
Apparently,
I often hear this statement, a complaint actually. They don't make them like they used to. I hear that all the time, right? And I also end up saying that to myself sometimes. I wonder if the way that you recorded before was different from the way you record now. Akong pangutana ba siguro ni mo Justin, I don't know if you can compare because I'm not sure if you've ever recorded in an analog recording studio, right? Akong pangutana siguro ni ani is maybe nga part of the way the songs were made what actually affected or influenced the creativity, the process of creativity ba?
Yeah.
Akong
Mm.
pasabot is kani nga ang kalisod, ang degree of difficulty, or maybe because you cannot change it right away in the same way nga mag-typewriter ka, dili man nimo ma-delete, di
Yeah.
ba? Imo mang hustle naman kayo, you throw the piece of paper, di ba? Kambantay ka ng mga karaang nga salida nga
Exacto.
magamit sila typewriter nga daghang kay mga kinumot nga papel kay nasayop sila pirmi, di ba? Kung karon pa wala naman yan kay imo ra mang i-delete sa imong telepono, di ba? Sa imong computer, di ba? So kung pangutanan niya na ba, do you think atong pag-record ni Freddie Mercury sa iyahang Bohemian Rhapsody and all of the artists in the analog era or the time when recording was not yet fully digital, I wonder if that affected the actual
The creativity.
creation process ba?
Mm-mm.
What do you think?
Well, I'm pretty sure it did, Yujiki, no? And there's art also in making adjustments, and
Mm-mm.
I can just imagine siguro the frustration is different and the
Mm.
way that they work and the time and the effort that's being put. Lahi sad the entire process is definitely different from now nga murag with the digitalized technology. But in
The
terms of
finality of it ba? The
creating,
finality bitaw, the
oh,
finality, di ba?
I don't know, Bitaw, if maybe that should be studied. Was creativity increased
Mm.
because of that struggle?
Mm.
Or, well, I wouldn't say struggle. I think that's a strong word. Because of that process nga, because of the analog recording,
Mura ka maninguha jud ka
or
ba nga di ka masayop ba
yeah.
kay kani nga
Mm.
inituplok nimo sa letter A, yan masayop kag pislit, di ba? Imo mong ilabay ang papel, di ba? Or kahapoy kay mag touch and go. This is probably na pa era before the touch and go era, hugaw kay ang papel and so on and so forth. Sa recording pod kung
Yeah.
mag-recording ka niya kani nga ang imuhang tape limited naman na, di ba? Dili pareha man na og kani nga
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
film sa kamera nga pila ra ka shots kung nga
Mm.
katong ani atong una 24 shots ra pag human
Oo.
kaning mahurot, di ba? So I'm wondering if
That
ang mga artists
affects.
were more vigilant, they were more serious siguro, they were more
Yeah.
focused siguro because of the recording process itself. Nga there's such finality when
Yeah.
you record it, unlike digital nga pwede ra nimo ma-delete.
Edit, edit.
Oh.
Yeah, you know what? I'm glad you brought that up also. No, nakarelate ko sa mangingon. Well, not the typewriter thing. Although nakoy typewriter dinis balay. Not the typewriter thing. Thank God wala ko ana nga era kay.
Okay.
Pero I know what you mean. There are times before nga mag-exam me and then our professor would tell us nga no erasures. Di
Okay.
ba, Jiggy?
Mm.
No erasures, no
Himo
correction
din na day.
tape, no. Oh, mahimo, ma-minus points man ka kung naka-erasures.
Okay.
So in that sense, Jiggy, before ko mo write sa akong essay, grabe, you really think about what you're gonna say.
Exactly.
So
Oh.
my brain juice is being kanang squeeze good ba?
Correct. Oh.
So in that way, I was really creative. Like I really had to think tarongon gid din ako because
Mm.
I can't afford these minus points.
Okay.
At the same time, there are times nga when I'm asked to write an essay sa computer, mag-type ko. Murag the comfort, there's also this sense of comfort given to me nga if masayop ko, pwede ko mo backspace,
Mm.
backspace, then
Mhm.
I'm also more creative in the way nga, okay, if I want to change an idea, I can just change it.
Mm.
So I can't compare where I'm more creative. Siguro, but I can definitely say nga mas pressuring when you know that you've got like limited chances.
Correct, right?
So there is that sense of pressure. So it
Mm.
really depends on, as an artist, siguro, does the pressure make you more creative? Does it fuel you to do better? Or
Exactly, right? Kay, di ba, maingon
or
ka,
does
di
it
ba,
frustrate
you
you?
know, let's go back to the Bohemian Rhapsody example, di ba? It's a classic, right? A song that
Yeah.
has stood the test of time. And there are many songs like that, right? Like songs from the Beatles and so on and so
Mm.
forth, right? So there is a kind of song that was made back then that is different from the kinds of songs that we hear now. Of course, part of that is what was going on uh, during those times and what is going on now.
Oh yeah.
But I wonder how much the recording process itself affected the way they made music back then. So there must be something when when you say, Justin, they don't make them like they used to. Probably they
Yeah.
never did make them like
Mm.
they used to,
And
right?
yeah, also Jiggy, aside from the pressure but that's imposed on the artist itself, kay mo think man sila nga, oh, I only have limited chances.
Mm-hmm.
I think the general vibe of performing with a band and knowing that like you have one shot to record this, you
Okay.
can't just cut in the middle and say, wait, sabi ka nang kanang pwede to i-edit to nga partner
Mm.
repeat. You can't do
Mm.
that
Mm.
because I also watched this film. It's called, I think it's called Cadillac Records.
Okay.
I'm not sure if you're familiar with that film. It features somewhat like the life of Etta James. She's a
Okay.
famous blues singer, and I really like her music, no. And so I think that's one of the first times getting exposed ko sa iyang mga songs. So
Okay.
I remember in that film when she would perform her jazz music,
Mm.
her band is with her. Katong
Okay.
mga instruments niya, mga bass, saxophone, ana. And then well, I don't know, maybe it's just the way that the film portrayed it.
Okay.
Grabe ka nice ilahang jam session, ilang recording session.
Mm-hmm.
There are times bitaw that I feel so lonely in the recording room kung ako ra then magboot lang ko with the sound engineer because that's the thing, I don't record with a band man.
Mm.
I record solo,
Mm.
but then I know that okay, if I mess up in this part, I can always just re-record it. But I guess the excitement and the vibe would be so
Different.
much
Good,
different.
lahi, good, diba?
Oh, like sa
Nakinomdom
katong nga
ko. I don't know
film.
if you were here with us. We actually interviewed si Insoy Ninyal, si Counselor Insoy Ninyal karon katong bokalista
Mm,
sa Missing Philemon nga konsehal na ron
mm.
sa Pinamungahan. I don't know if you were you here during that interview?
No, I wasn't.
And we were talking about him and an update on the life of now Counselor Insoy Ninyal. Ingon siya nga
Mm.
kan ako nang mag-recording ka kuno you treat it like a job kuno nga
Okay.
you need to look at it because like some people myself included nga murag usahay nagi kay panahon nga dili ka creative bitaw nga dili ka in the mood
Yeah.
kanang imuhang
Mm.
serotonin levels are not at an optimal level nya limuot kayo
Yeah.
and so on and so daghang kay mga ek ba
Factors.
ano bitaw mga ek. So I guess kung part of your job is nga na limited amount of let's just say tape for
Resource.
recording like
Mm.
so I guess mas serious juga sa imong gibuhat, di ba? And I wonder if that's the optimal condition to create kana bitong
Yeah.
under pressure. Kaya namo uban nga kaning dili sila at home, dili sila nag pressure niya pag bati ilang output. I don't know.
Mm.
What are your thoughts on that, Justin? Kanang the application of the pressure of a looming deadline and so on and so forth, and or just the freedom to create for as long as you want, and
Yeah.
just do it when the time comes. Nga, you come up with a brilliant idea. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I really think it's a personal kanang choice, no, for creatives. There are times bitaw mag-record ko covers, like even on my phone, I just use BandLab. It's like an app lang jiggy ba.
Okay.
And earphones lang mo gamiton pang record sa vocals.
Uh
And then
huh.
that's how I make my basic demos. For example,
Okay.
I really enjoy the process of just having fun with it in my room nga.
Okay.
Well, no pressure sa ano na ko mag-record ko sa kwarto. Sometimes I'll face the cabinet para
Mm-hmm.
na kanang acoustic kanang the clothes somehow
Okay.
soften the sound. But there are also times that I feel so motivated in the studio because I know we're on time. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's a time, we're in crunch time. I can't keep wasting it all day. I can't keep wasting the time of my sound engineer pod and my producer. So there's also that little push, that pressure bita that helps the creative juices flow.
Okay.
Siguro it really depends on the kind of project you're making.
Mm.
If I'm very specific about the output,
Mm.
the kind of sound that I want to achieve,
Mm.
then for me, nice good nga it's structured. I prefer it structured good jiggy nga.
Mm.
Okay. For example, kani ka first hour, kay will record this specific part para napakoy time to polish and blah blah at the second hour. Something
Mm.
like that ba?
Mm.
Pero there are times pod nga dili kay ko critical sa output. Okay na nako nga. Okay, since it's still a demo, I'm still figuring things out.
Mm.
Meaning, magsuway-suway pa ko. What if I record it in this way? What if mo syagit ko diri? What if mo hinay ko tingog diri nga part?
Mm.
So I would want more time to be creative. Kay
Mm.
kung I'm on a pressured time ano pod, I can't explore other options, 'di ba? Kay
Mm.
murag okay, I can only sing it in the way that I practiced it. Pero if I'm given my own freedom and unlimited resources, meaning pwede rin ako i-delete, i-duplicate ang voice,
Mm.
pwede rin ako i-re-record, ana, then it gives again more space for in that way ba you can look at it as like you have more avenue to explore,
Mm.
so more room for error. So I think it really depends good on the output.
So
Pero ikaw, Jiggy,
I'm wondering lang like ako man good like
yeah,
I try my by like there are really times nga you're hyper motivated, right? Right? I
Mm.
mean, like there are times nga, like like you can't wait to get the hell out of the house and then like do something, right? And
Right.
then you're
Uh-uh.
pumped up. But I think man good kanang motivation, just like all things in life, is a limited
Mm.
resource, diba? I think motivation is a limited
Mm.
resource. I think fire in your belly does not stay there forever, right? You need to maintain it. You need to figure out a way how to keep the fire burning, right? So parang ako
Mm.
importante kayo nga I think I perform better. Like for
Mm.
example, kaning ako ang ato ang trabaho. Like for example, when I go to a recording studio and record a commercial, kung
Mm.
if I'm not in a good mood, madunggan gyud nimo. At least makadungog gyud ko ba nga kuwang man ni siya
Really?
og kaning I don't know, kuwang og amph ba. You know what I mean? Like, kasi
Maklaro di ay, maklaro di ay.
makadungog yung ko nako, pero I don't know if in regular
Mm.
person can do it. So naagid siya panahon nga kung so that's why I really want to be able to kaning bitong recreate bitaw an environment mo nang akong pasabot nimo kinanglan nga like the room has to be in a certain temperature, for example, and
Yeah.
the place has to be in a certain vibe and all of that stuff. Kay imong you try to recall your best performance, and then
Yeah.
try to recreate it over and over again as many times as you can. Mo nang mga basketball players sa hanan sila yung mga ritual, di ba? Kabantay ka na, or any sport for that matter, or even singers. Kana, o say, manguro sila before sila makanta, di ba? Or na
Yeah,
sila
mo kaon aning specific food,
oh,
mo inom ani nga
correct,
drink.
or for example
Oo.
na ritual sa basketball sa bola nga ipauntulon nila kalima niya human ilang gakso ng bola ni itsa nila or something na ritual ba, because I think that's what we're trying to do, to recreate a moment of brilliance as many times as you can. I think that's
Yeah.
what my input in that. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with that. No, I'm looking at it now from like a kanang behavioral perspective, kanang sa
Okay.
psychology, no? Like
Oh,
for you to reinforce behavior, there needs
okay.
to be a number of times nga maana di mong mind and body
Mm.
to do that. So
Okay.
syempre, and I remember even when I was still starting out sa law school, I told Jiggy nga, Jiggy, I hate reading, yun. Like
Okay.
I really hate reading. And I remember
Mm.
you were telling me
Mm.
you have to optimize your environment.
Environment. Okay.
Oh, so kung kabao ka nga you study best in ano, for example ako in the daytime,
Mm.
I study best in the daytime. I really hate studying at night, Chiki, kay
Mm.
I feel like my brain is so slow gyud
Padaw
basta
nagatog.
dark na.
Mm.
Oh, so ang buhaton is na mo gid times nga mo study ta ini gabi gyud kay di
Mm.
mada kay exam naman next day so mag-cram ta gabi.
Mm.
So akong buhaton like what you said is I have to mimic bitaw or change the environment nga murag same siya sa in my optimal performance.
Mm.
So mao na siya, di ko mo study og coffee shop nga dark kay tanan.
Mm.
Kay makatugon man ko.
Mm.
So if I have to study at night, then I have to go to a really bright place.
Mm.
To a coffee shop nga medyo hawan pa. It seems like, at least in that sense, ang kana nga part more that optimized part of like
Mm.
having
Mm. Mm.
sunlight-ish
Mm.
or bright light
Yeah.
is taken care of. So
Mm.
I agree with that. Maybe in recording also, that's why ang recording studios, they have that specific vibe.
Mm.
Even with the way that it's shaped,
Mm.
the environment nila,
Mm.
it's meant to optimize your best
Mm.
performance ba,
Mm.
the technicality of
Yeah.
that yun nga.
So
Inay mga
so so kabantay ka ng for example kanang mga graphics artist, di ba? Kanang artist type ba nga
Mm.
kaning sige lang ka late, or kaning sige lang kaning dugay-dugayon, sige lang postpone and so on and so forth. And at the same time there are those that are also professionals, di ba? And I think that there must be a sweet spot also, right? I think like kanang art man good requires space and time, di ba? But at the same
Mm.
time, the people who need your art also have a deadline to catch, right? So I think
Yeah.
there has to be like a sweet spot. Nga, yeah, sure. You're asked to create a masterpiece yesterday, di ba?
Mm.
and then I don't know. It's also para nako. It's also incumbent on the client ba, or whoever requires the
Mm.
artwork ba nga. Art requires a little bit of time too. So you cannot say, I need you to come up with a good song yesterday, right? You cannot do that also, I think, or a good graphic
Exactly.
yesterday, right?
Yeah, exactly. But so again, it goes back to the question on whether kanang pressure doesn't help.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what's the optimal amount of pressure? I think that's the next question we need to ask.
Mm.
Pudno,
Mm.
like how can we say that too much pressure can be dangerous for your
Yeah.
creativity?
Yeah.
And how can we say when it's just enough to push? I think there's no standardized one. It really depends on the
Well, yeah,
person.
yeah. It's good that you mentioned the word standardized. I think the standardization probably helps. Murag imong
Mm,
himo nimo og a kind of template ba, di ba? For
Maybe
example,
that's why
kung
some
nasa lay
studios have that.
nasa
mm,
pangayong inani, then imong you go back to your template and just do it mindlessly.
mm, mm,
Murag
mm.
muna na ang realm nga maka-interfere ang AI. Muna na ron.
Yeah.
Kung usa ka butang you can do mindlessly, kung imong i-template, kung hunaon nimo ang usa ka butang kay imo harang ma-battle ma-replicate
Mm,
nimo over and over again kay imo laging gi-template, then
mm.
that's when AI moves in, right? Right?
I'm glad that you always mention AI. Kung
Yeah.
akong my go-to problem, like whenever I talk about like the cause of every problem, my go-to answer is
Your
colonialism.
colonizers.
Colonizers. Because the Jiggy Balipod, ang go-to solution po niya. If you
Or
talk about any problem, even if I didn't think of it at first, you're
yeah.
like, you know what? AI could help with that.
Well,
AI,
I'm not.
AI could
I'm not
reach
looking
it.
at it as a solution. Actually,
Oh,
It's like an ominous sign ba nga. Mo nang mga butang. Mo na ang butang ang AI
ominous.
dili sila susceptible because AI is not human, right? It's not made of
Yeah.
skin and bones and flesh and bones, 'di ba? So pasabot niya na he's not susceptible to bad mood. He's not susceptible to
Mm.
emotion, right? He's not
You know
susceptible
what,
to
Diggy?
yes,
I'm
yes.
glad you brought that up.
Mm.
Karon, there's been this thing on social media ba sa mga artists. Kabo ka nang mo autograph sila silang albums.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the old way is if you have 1,000 albums, you sign all of them, right?
Correct, yeah.
Pero now, especially sa K-pop industry, they're under heat because apparently there's AI automated nga autograph signers
Okay.
nga it analyzes your signature
Okay.
as an artist
Okay.
and it can replicate it like I
Okay.
don't know how. I think it's like a robot.
Mm.
It replicates it on all the albums. So
Mm.
it manually writes it like with the pen, but
Mm.
it looks the same as your signature.
Correct, yeah.
So a lot of people are complaining ba nga, murag in that way, there's a standardized way na nga, because of the human effort. Imagine you're a big artist, mo sign kag hundreds and thousands of albums
Yeah.
like the
Mm. Mm.
Beatles probably did before when they give away albums and stuff. Karon to ano that to curb that and to help with the productivity, we have na the machine.
Mm.
So a lot of people, there's an argument now nga murag it's bati daw kay murag dili siya genuine,
Correct, yeah.
like we're buying for the actual signature of the artist
Mm.
and now there's a robot. Some people would also argue nga that's the future now, that's the looming ominous thing that you're mentioning, Gigi
Correct,
Baga.
correct. But
We can't
ang
expect people to keep signing.
kana mangong signature, I think uh, its value rides on the effort, right, of the
Ana.
artist
Oh.
writing it himself, right? Kay pwede raman nga ako kibaw ko mo pirma ni Taylor Swift, right? Kibaw ko sa iyang pirma niya. Ako lang mo pirma
Mm,
iyahang album, right? Nakinumdum ko nga
mm,
na ako'y libro ni Phil Jackson onya, according to my brother, he went to a book tour and
mm.
signed it himself, right? But I don't have a photograph of him signing it. So ang ganun, basta
Signing it.
ikaw rin ka pirma na bro, klaruhan na bro. I jokingly said him,
Dito.
told him that. So akong pasabot ba, part of that is the effort. And number three, because it is limited, di ba? Kanang
Mm.
ang panahon sa usa ka big star limitado ra man kayo, so iyang ma-sign kamay ra kayo kay superstar good siya, daghang kay siyang mga gigs and events and so on and so forth, and signing autographs is probably not his or her priority, di ba? So kung na kay machine nga maka-mimic sa imong autograph, then you can have infinite number of autographed albums, di ba? So ang value niya na maubos na noon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can understand
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Pero I don't know how, like now you're right, Giga. That's an ominous thing, bang. I can't believe these big record labels are actually making use of that technology
Okay.
kini sa K-pop industry,
Okay.
right? Sign those albums. So it does confirm the fact that things are changing
Mhm.
over time, and maybe the the standard that people have for those things, the
Mm.
tolerance that they can have for AI created art will also
Mm.
change.
Mm.
We should definitely talk about that with Sir Mel
Yeah.
next time. Kana bitaw the tolerance now of AI art. that's such a, di ba, Jiggy, it's such a ano nga topic, ka ng AI generated art.
Mm.
Oh,
Yeah.
not only does it pose an issue for kind of bitong copyright,
Mm.
because AI art can only be created man on what's already created. Murag mo
Mm.
take inspiration siya ba sa mga existing.
Mm.
So not only is that the issue itself, there's an issue of the, I think the whole, I don't know how to say it, the integrity about of art making in
Mm.
itself. So
Correct. Yeah.
that is maybe, I'm glad that you brought AI up, because on digital recording, it could also be a threat to the integrity of recording mismo.
Okay.
Maybe
Correct.
the pure nice recording is katong analog yun, and then now,
Mm.
I don't know, have we become, I don't know, lazy, or
Mo lagi
does
ang
it
analog
affect
man gud, you need to be in a room, right? You
Mm,
need to be somewhere, right? And you need to interact with other people. And 'di ba,
yes.
that's where that's the magic of a band, 'di ba nga? You're
Mm,
bigger than the sum of your parts, 'di ba nga? 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 is not 5, but it's actually 10. You know, in the case of the Beatles, 1 plus 1 plus 1 is not 4, but it's, more than the sum of its parts. Can I mean magic that happens when you're
ooh,
interacting with human beings in a room, right? You know what I mean?
yeah.
So kung I even feel nga kana bitaw mag-recording ka nga wala ka diha mismo sa room nga ingos lang nga. Remember during the pandemic nga there were projects nga
Yeah.
ang artist
Natika
wala diha
ako.
niya paghuman they made a song
Mm,
together and it's beautiful blah blah blah. But um something there nagi mawagtang siguro sa kung wala ka sa atubangan sa usa ka tawo nga imuhang gi ka collaborate, 'di ba? Isn't that presence,
yeah.
vibration is really part of the whole creative process. And if you remove that, or if you're just stuck in looking at a flat screen, your cell phone or your computer, then something must disappear, right?
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned that. No, there were times in the pandemic, and I was so thankful though that we were able to have interviews via Zoom,
Yeah.
just like much like now. But
Mm.
given the opportunity, nga pag di ko ka go sa imong studio, there were times nga nagpa-interview ko.
Mm-hmm.
We had interviews in Zoom, and
Mm-hmm.
I think given the circumstance, it was the best we could do, and I was so happy na. So I don't think like it really affected like the way I would answer in the interview, or I don't think it affected like my motivation to
Okay.
really engage with you sa interviews kay online naman siya.
Mm.
Hey, given the situation where that's the best we got, and I was so
Mm.
thankful nga we were even able to have that.
Yeah,
But
pero
I do understand what you mean
yeah,
nga affects sad siya.
correct. Yeah, but at least kita kaila ta, di ba? So kita kung maskig nag-zoom ta kunuha if ever karon, for example. But I can imagine. I can imagine your face, na I can imagine your tone of voice. I can imagine
Mm-mm-mm.
nga kaning how it would be if you're in front of me. So we can kind of in our heads unconsciously or unconsciously recreate a kind of conversation that we would have had when you were in front of me. Pero kung waka kaila sa tao, right? And then you're creating something together. You're trying to make beautiful art together. Lahi siya og kuan siguro tundog siguro lahi gid ko makita
Okay,
gid mo,
yeah,
di
that
ba?
makes sense.
Di
Yeah,
ba?
that makes sense.
Yeah.
No, and karon ba, I notice a lot of artists do that.
Mm.
I'm very impressed with how like you look at mga interviews kaning mga artists then
Mm.
mag-collab di ba the song featuring, for
Yeah.
example, Justine Arvis featuring Jiggy Juice, and
Mm. Mm.
then
Mm.
then usually sa interviews mo na ang artist nga, yeah, I wasn't expecting to have a verse on this song, and
Mm.
then Jiggy Juice just sent me the ano, and then I recorded it in my car,
Mm.
or I recorded it in my hotel room,
Mm.
like kana sila Charlie Puth.
Mm.
I recorded in my hotel room and then I sent back. It makes me think ba, maybe in the past, like in the days of the Beatles, we have to be together in the recording studio to
Correct.
have
Yeah.
that feature.
Yeah.
Karon, you can just record it on any part of the world in
Mm.
your own time.
Mm.
Just send it in email, and it's not like it would affect the sound. I
Mm.
mean, in mga songs nga na featuring it, I can't really notice man sad nga, lahi gid kay ang ano diri
But you're talking
sound.
about the technical sound. That's what you mean by sound. It doesn't affect the
Oh,
sound, right? But the
technical.
magic that
Oh,
happens when you're in front of the person, I think
yeah.
is
It's different
magical, right?
also.
Magnagi
It's
mawa
different
siguro Justin,
also.
oy tanan ako.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's why I like it sometimes when the artists that have mga featuring, when they record the music video, for example, together. I mean, they can do it separately. They can record one artist in a different part of the world,
Mm.
the other one yung edit, tas editor. Pero
Mm.
kabantay kaning, for example, kaning sikat na kanta kaning Die With A Smile, Bruno Mars and
Mm.
Lady Gaga.
Mm.
Diba? It's also nice ilahang dynamic
Yeah.
when they're performing it in the
Correct.
music
Yeah.
video nga
Yeah.
nag-atubangan sila.
Yeah.
Nag-guitar si Bruno Mars,
Oh.
nagpiano si Lady Gaga
Correct.
and they're
Yeah.
doing it, they're performing it together.
Mm.
It does look much more passionate.
Yeah. Yeah.
It does look more, mas ano siya ba, mas, I don't know the word, mas
Realistic, was
raw.
realistic, because
Yeah.
I think what we're all looking for is a moment that captures a kind of truth, right? A kind of reality. That's what art is, right? And
Mm.
if it's a duet, right? If it's a collaboration, then we have to see that magic in front of our very eyes, or hear it, in our ears, right? And if kaning duha ka artist nga mukanta og duet, wala pa sila kaila silang kaugalingon. I'm sorry, they don't know each other, and they've never
Yeah.
met, and they do something. I can
Mm.
imagine nga that's really lesser. I can imagine nga that output would be not as good as had they been together, or it could be
I
worse. It
agree.
could also be the opposite. Also, what if they don't like each other, right? And it's a love song, right? That could also be the opposite,
Sanay.
right?
Yeah, and you know what, Chigi? I think at the core of that, the main reason is because we're human beings, we're
Mm,
emotional beings,
mm,
and we don't create art like AI nga
mm,
robots. Nga you
mm.
can just put us in. I don't care if you guys like each other,
Yeah.
regardless if kaila mo.
Mm,
You gotta create art. You gotta
yeah.
make a good song. So just
Correct.
create.
Uh,
The whole essence of art, I would dare argue, is
mm,
that the fact that it's created by someone that's imperfect,
mm.
someone that's ruled by emotions,
Correct.
someone that's
Has mood
demotivated
swings.
at times. Oh, na mood swings, na ay sahay ganahan sila sa ilang kuyo when they create the art.
Uh,
Sahay dili pud.
oh,
That's what makes it nice. So
and beautiful,
if you
right?
were to so if you were to erase that part, I don't think it's gonna be
So so
as
we're
sweet as
so
well.
so we're making a case against AI, right? Especially when it comes to art, because I think art it requires magic to happen, right? And
Yeah.
requires a human interaction to happen. And if there's no human interaction, if you don't see each other eye to eye, or hear each other's
Mm-hmm.
vibe, or maybe even shake each other's hands, or hug each other, or whatever, that's something that AI cannot replicate. And I think
Yeah.
we just hit upon a gem of an idea, Justine. I think
Mm.
that's
Go
why
ahead.
AI will never replace us.
Yeah, you know what, Chigi? Before, when I was teaching pa, there was a congress where all teachers came together. And I remember one of our teachers had like a seminar, a talk, more TED talk ba?
Okay.
Because head siya sa humanities strand. And it was so important. Yung talk was about why AI would never replace the humanities.
Okay.
So he made a strong and a compelling case that
Which
kung
was?
saan, even in the education sector, no matter how good AI is at teaching people to be
Mm,
creative,
mm,
it lacks that human factor
mm,
of understanding students. So, even if students can learn from AI mismo, from automated kanang teachers, which is very helpful,
mm,
sad, because
mm,
there's little room for error, no
mm,
margin for error, right?
mm,
There's that lack of that human an important aspect of the connection that you build with
mm,
people without
mm,
you're not just teaching also robots, you're
mm,
teaching human beings that want to be understood.
mm,
When they share their personal experiences, they want to be validated,
mm,
and that's something that AI cannot do. So young case that he explained to us was AI will never replace the humanities, which includes art
of
and
course.
social
Yeah.
sciences and the like.
Because
So
something
Jigi's
magical
enemy,
happens, right?
guys. Oh, my enemy is colonization, which is in the past. Jigi's enemy, important sa mo enemy, Jiggy,
Yeah.
kay yours is forward.
Yeah.
You're looking at, you're looking at the danger side of AI.
Yeah.
Everyone's just laughing about it, like,
Yeah.
yeah, we use ChatGPT, but
Yeah.
Jiggy knows what's up. Jiggy knows he knows the real dangers, ana ba?
No, I'm just as ignorant about it as you. I just probably listen to and read a lot more. And I'm a huge fan of Yuval Noah Harari, the Israeli uh, author and historian who wrote the book
Mm,
*Sapiens*, and now he wrote *Nexus*, and so on and so forth. So he's
mm,
also sounding the alarm bells for AI. But you're right. I mean, at the end of the day, the interaction between artists, AI cannot replicate that, right? I mean,
yeah, it's not
and
gonna
they
be the
cannot
same.
replicate the unpredictability of flesh and bone, right? So I guess
Yeah.
I feel better now after this conversation that we're having. It's like a therapy for me. And now at least we shouldn't be too scared about this thing they call
And
AI.
let's definitely talk about it some more, Jiki, because it will also open the avenue for AI creating more art after an artist is gone. Kaya
Mm,
daghan sad kaayog I think maybe we've talked about this before.
Mm,
A couple months ago, I'm not sure. Kana bitang artist that has passed away na.
mm,
Then then people would sing Ninduta himo ani song if like Michael Jackson for
mm, mm,
example.
mm,
I'm guilty of that with Jiggy. There are some songs created but with Michael Jackson's
mm.
voice nga I enjoy. Like I'm like, man, if he was alive, this would have been cool.
I'm not sure if
But
you're familiar with the invention or project of kaning Elon Musk kaning neural link ba. He says kuno nga you
really?
can
Wow.
download kuno a human brain. So if you can download a human brain, like for example, if you can download Michael Jackson's brain, then you can simulate using his brain the creative process of the person and then come up with a song, right? That's another story that will
Yeah.
require an entire day of conversation. And Kuya Magic, who's flesh and bones, and I'm scared that those flesh and bones might
Will be
might hurt
healed.
me. I have to leave the studios now because he's getting ready for the
For the
magic
magic
hour.
hour.
Yeah, stay tuned.
Perfect.
Justine, thank you so much for joining me this morning for Top of the Morning.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jiggy, and thank you everyone for listening. We're gonna keep the conversations rolling for the next days and for the Magic Hour. So join us gihapon sa Tops Media Center. That's on Facebook, YouTube, even TikTok, and of course our text line, which I forgot.
0999-887-6070. That's 0999-887-6070. Daghang salamat, Justin Narvios.
Thank you, Jiggy. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day ahead.
You take care now. Bye-bye.